turn the recording on. And Kimberly, I think I can just directly turn this over to you if you would like. I know you're here.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Hi. So if you'd like, I'm not sure even how to introduce you other than to say that you're one of the coordinators for outreach in Los Angeles and I think Southern California for the California Redistricting Commission. But you probably have a better title and a better explanation. So, and I'm Laura Myers. Hi, we've talked on the phone, spoken on the phone a few times. And also, before you get started, one of our people present is Gibson Nyambura, and he is with the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment and is a NEA for multiple neighborhood councils. So he has asked that I put the two of you in touch after this meeting so that maybe one or two or more other such sessions could still happen. But you guys can work that out. Anyway, Kimberly, if you could introduce yourself and I'll stop yakking.
Thank you so much, Laura, and thank you for having me tonight. As Laura mentioned, my name is Kimberly Briggs. I'm the field team lead with the California Citizens Redistricting Commission, and I do outreach for LA and Orange counties. So I'll be doing a presentation tonight just on the basics of redistricting, where we are so far and how to get involved. So thank y'all again so much. And I do have to read a script, I apologize, but I'll try to make it as lively as I can. So let me share my screen. Let's see. I'll begin. So as a friendly reminder, under California Government Code Section 8253, Section 3, it strictly forbids commissioners and staff from taking public input outside of a regularly scheduled meeting or official public input meeting. However, at any point, you are more than welcome to visit our website at wedrawthelinesca.org/participate to provide input. You'll find instructions on how to do that on our homepage, and we'll be going over this today. At the end of the presentation, I'll be answering previously submitted questions about the state redistricting process and how you can participate in providing your input. I won't be able to answer any questions about district boundaries or your specific input, and I won't be able to take any new questions. So just putting it out there. We can still discuss questions, but I can't discuss possible scenarios or predicaments. So just please understand. One of the greatest powers that the people of California have is to elect their own representatives in government to represent their needs. How districts are drawn can make the difference between empowering and maximizing the voters' voices or minimizing and muting those voices. In most other states, the politicians draw the lines. The California Citizens Redistricting Commission was formed to take back the power and have the people redraw the maps for Congress, Senate, Assembly, and the Board of Equalization. The commission is made up of 14 citizens who went through a rigorous selection process. By fully participating in and monitoring the redistricting process, more communities may have the opportunity to elect candidates of their choice. Speaking up about your community is critical to help keep your community whole to the extent possible. This ensures that your voice is heard by your elected leaders when making decisions such as the quality and funding of your child's education, addressing your transportation concerns, or determining your tax rates. Your input is valuable in shaping the new political boundaries. So I'm gonna go over how redistricting affects you. And I apologize if people already know this, but I gotta go through the script. So power to the people. In 2008, California voters passed Prop 11, the Voters First Act, which authorized the creation of an independent commission to draw new district lines for Senate, Assembly, and the Board of Equalization. In 2010, Prop 20, the Voters First Act for Congress, added the responsibility of drawing congressional districts to the commission. This process was historic in California It transferred the power of drawing district lines away from politicians and gave it to the people. Champion your issues. Having the opportunity to elect representatives that champion your issues is important in a state like California, where issues can vary drastically from one street to the next. Northern California might champion environmental and economic issues, while Central California might champion water and agricultural issues, and Southern California, where we have it all, issues dealing with transportation, housing, employment, fill in the blank. Funding priorities. Tied to the issue of electing representatives that champion your issues, you may want to elect representatives that have your financial interest at heart. When the time comes to build a budget, you'll want a representative fighting to ensure your community gets the financial resources it deserves for various services such as education, water, and fire protection. Community boundaries. The redistricting process is all about drawing lines and determining which communities get grouped together into districts. Your input in this process is essential to help commissioners understand where your community starts and ends. Redistricting in California is one of the few civic activities that any Californian can provide input to regarding their community that can ultimately impact the law and regulations, tax structure, how funding is distributed, and which services are provided. So I feel this is a pretty civically engaged group. So you know, or maybe you don't know, I'm telling you now, it's redistricting season and it's happening at every level, essentially. Not just me, I'm with the state, so that's Senate, Assembly, Congressional, and Board of Equalization, but it's also happening, as you're well aware, the LA City level, the LA County level, but then it also affects school districts, water districts, community college districts. It's all kind of happening at the same time. So we just wanted to elevate that we're all separate groups and we all have separate processes and separate deadlines. So it is important just to research whatever you're interested in. Hopefully you're interested in all of them or most of them to see where they are in the process and how to get involved. So just want to elevate that this is the season and you kind of have to do your research on what's going on and their deadlines and how to get involved. Okay, so I wanted to bring up this criteria for you to know what the commissioners use when they determine the lines. So the commission must follow these criteria in this order when drawing the district maps. The first is districts must be of nearly equal population to comply with the US Constitution. The second is districts must comply with the Voting Rights Act to ensure that minorities have a fair opportunity to elect representatives of their choice. The third is districts must be drawn contiguously so that all parts of the district are connected to each other. The fourth is districts must minimize the division of cities, counties, neighborhoods, and communities of interest to the extent possible. The fifth is districts should be geographically compact such that nearby areas of population are not bypassed for more distant populations. And this refers to density and not shape. The sixth is where practicable, each Senate district should be comprised of 2 complete and adjacent assembly districts. Board of Equalization districts should be comprised of 10 complete and adjacent state Senate districts. In addition, the place of residence of any incumbent or political candidate may not be considered in the creation of a map, and districts may not be drawn for the purpose of favoring or discriminating against an incumbent, political candidate, or political party. So I'm going to go into more detail about communities of interest. So when drawing maps, the commission has to be mindful of communities of interest. We can easily obtain the city and county information from these jurisdictions, but we need community of interest info from people like you. Communities of interest are defined as a concentrated population which shares common social and economic interests that should be included within a single district for purposes of its effective and fair representation. Examples include areas in which the people share similar living standards, have similar cultures, use the same transportation facilities, have similar work opportunities, or have access to the same media. and people can belong to multiple communities of interest. Keep in mind, a community of interest is not the same as a district, and a district is not a community of interest, but communities of interest are key building blocks for districts. So some ways people use to describe their communities: geographic, they'll say the freeways that they're near and the streets that they consider their neighborhood. They'll talk about where they shop, what they do for fun, heritage. So it's essentially describing your community and what brings you together and why you shouldn't be broken up. That's essentially defining what your community of interest is and what the commission needs to hear, so they can try to keep that community of interest together to the extent that they can. Okay, so I want to let you know where we are in the process. So this is the roadmap to the final maps, and of course, we're still accepting input. Things may change, so please go to our meetings page on our website for the latest information, as well as the specific regions the commission will be discussing each day. There will be public comment time allotted at the end of each day, every day. And the commission must submit final maps to the Secretary of State no later than December 27th of this year. So what's going on this week is they're discussing assembly districts. So I don't know if you've got a chance to tune in, but that's what they're discussing this week. The next week they'll go into congressional and so on and so forth. So you can hear the conversations that they're having, and you can submit input live to what they're saying. So just want to highlight this and highlight the schedule. This is the schedule right now, but just stressing to go to our meetings page in case anything changes. So our website's redrawthelinesca.org, and under the data page, you can pull this up. This is our map viewer. So on this map viewer, it shows the draft maps that were released on November 10th. And then all the updates that they do, all these discussions they're having, you saw the meeting schedule in the previous slide. All the updates they do will show up here on this map viewer, so you can see how the lines have changed. Updates will be posted here. There's also, it's pretty intuitive to use to zoom in to see which categories you want to see. But we also have video tutorials on how to use the map viewer, and another one on how to, if you have a shapefile of your district, how you'd like it to see, you can impose it onto the system. So we have a video on how to do that too. So the video walks you through on how you can find shapefiles the public has submitted. You can see what other people have submitted too. And then you can upload your own. So just highlighting this feature on the website. In addition to the feedback form, the meetings they're having now, if you want to give input, there's a form you can fill out, but there's also other ways. So this is the website to submit input, redrawthelinesca.org/contact. The form's on that page as well. You can also send an email. This is our email address right here. You could explain your community of interest, or you could explain why you like or don't like what they're doing right now in an email. We also accept mail. So if you want to draw how you want things to look, or just write a letter, this is the option here. Again, if you go to this page, redrawthelinesca.org/meetings, there is that link to give public comments live on what they're discussing. And then we also have Draw My California if you want to draw. It's mapping software to draw the districts you want to see. So drawmycalifornia.org, this is a website, like if you want to actually use software to draw your community of interest and your districts, then this is where it would be. So when you go to drawmycalifornia.org, the first choice is Draw My CA Community. So that's where if you want to do community of interest input and draw the map and give your summary, you can do it on that site. The next option is Draw My CA Districts. So if you want to explain, if you have in your mind the vision you want for, the Assembly, Senate, Congressional, and Board of Equalization districts, or just one of them, or some of them, this is the website where you can actually draw on the software the boundaries you want to see and give your explanation. And then the last, Draw My CA, the GIS platform, is if you have GIS experience, if you know how to use it, this is a downloadable program you can use on your computer, mapping software to do that way. If you want to use these, mapping websites, we have assistance. There's live chats, there's videos, there's a phone number. So if you ever need assistance in navigating those mapping websites, then it's all here for you right here. In addition, we also have in-person places you can go. They're called our redistricting access centers. Let me read this. Staff is available at each location to help members of the public use the redistricting software. All you have to do is make an appointment. Appointments are required to visit a center, and each redistricting access center meets ADA requirements. These are all the cities that they're located in, and you can see our flyer here. So all you have to do is make an appointment, and you can go in person. If you prefer not to do the live chat or to call a number, you can make an appointment and see somebody in person to draw your map and use the software at these locations. Yeah, so as we're in this final stretch, it's crucial that we get the word out. Redistricting is something not everybody knows about, and we try our very, very best to spread the word about what's going on before these maps are finalized. So stuff like this really helps, and I thank y'all for having me today. We are doing these presentations until December 15th, so I can share the link if you know anybody else who would appreciate this, so they can reserve their presentation time before we sunset these. But I also want to highlight ways to spread the word. So this is wedrawtheline.ca.org/sign-up. This is to receive all our updates. We have a full communications team and they issue stuff more rapidly than I can. Breaking news, press releases, stuff like that, and newsletters. So I always encourage people to please sign up here. We're on social media. This is our handle under most of the accounts. Viewing party, make it fun. If you haven't drawn your map yet, you haven't provided input yet, you want to tune into a meeting, make it fun, invite people, have it a party, make it as fun as you can, and get other people involved so you can tell the stories of your community and why it matters and feel good about it. We also have outreach materials that are translated in multiple languages. They go over the basics of redistricting, how to get involved. This presentation, it's all translated. So just highlighting this, if you're not sure of what to say or how to write an email, encouraging people to get involved, we have a lot of dialogue there that you can just copy paste from. So I wanted to highlight that. As a reminder, I can't discuss any potential boundaries you want or discuss any speculative situations. I can just discuss how to get involved and any questions you had about this presentation. So just wanted to highlight that one more time. This is my supervisor's email, but I'll share my email as well for any other questions or for follow-up you may have. That's all from me.
Thank you, Kimberly. I see a hand raised. I want to myself say one thing and ask one thing.
Sure.
The say one thing is for everybody here, this entire presentation is also sitting in our advanced agenda packet. So so you can download it and you'll have everything except for Kimberly's direct contact info, which I imagine you're going to put into the chat, right, Kimberly?
Yeah.
And two, I have because the PR guy, Freddie Seja, can't pronounce his last name. He sent me out, and not me alone, a lot of stuff today, including the link to the map. Am I allowed to show everybody the map in our area while you're taking questions, or is that going to violate you can't discuss the maps?
Yeah, you can show it. You can show it. As you can't say oh, we should move this or.
Yeah. Okay. So then what would be good is if you stop your share, I'll start the share, and then Dolores has her hand raised, and so she will ask a question while I start sharing.
Hi, Dolores Spears here. You said that my question is, how is the commission getting the word out to the community besides social media? Because I know a lot of seniors are not on computers and they have internet on their phones, but they basically don't use it. I have a neighbor specifically that does not and will not use the internet. So how is this commission getting the word out to citizens with beyond social media?
We have reached out to libraries because libraries are kind of a hub where people go to access different information. We are in the process of mailing them the paper form. So if people are not comfortable going online to submit their input, we do have a paper form for people to submit input, and I can send you a link just in case. Senior centers, I have to check on specific outreach there, but there is a paper form that people can also submit and just mail in that way without having to go digital.
So they would have to download it, the form?
I have to check on like specifically senior center outreach. If you have any connections, I'd really appreciate, and I can reach out to them.
I'm
But
not speaking of senior centers, residential neighbors, senior citizens, and other people that are not social media savvy. How is the word getting out to those residents of the various districts?
yes, we're trying as best as we can to do stuff that's non-digital. All the meetings are online, unfortunately, but we do have the paper COI tool. I can follow up with you about specifically people who are totally not offline, how we're reaching those people. I don't have an answer right now, but I can follow up with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so since I'm sharing my screen, I actually cannot see if there's hands raised. So I'm going to rely on anyone else in the room to say so-and-so has their hand raised, if anyone does. And if not,
I don't see any hands.
No hands.
No hands.
all right. So Kimberly, what I'm sharing, if you guys can see, looks like it's pretty much our community. So if you see my cursor, if everyone can see it, that is Rosedale Cemetery. So that little bump out, this is the same boundary that we would have for our easternmost for UNNC. And so this is West Adams Heights, Sugar Hill. This is Harvard Heights. This would be Pico going across. And this is Normandy. And then this would be Crenshaw, I believe. This is Jefferson. This is probably Exposition.
Expo.
Yeah, I'm guessing because I don't see a street name, but it should be because that's Jefferson. So if I'm interpreting this line, this is today's, it says 12/2/21. So what the question I have for you, Kimberly, is every day these lines, are these changing, or is this what they're discussing, if you know?
I have to check when they update it, but essentially what they discuss, it's live. So they're doing assembly districts this week, and if they discuss this area, then the changes are live. It says today's date. I have to see when they're all refreshed though.
Right. Well, this is what was sent out today by Freddie.
That's today.
And then there's a date that says 12/2. So so it does appear that the Citizens Redistricting Commission may be making more of an effort than in the past of keeping communities together. Because in the past, now this my comment, I know Kimberly, you can't comment. All these years I've lived here, UNNC has never been all together in a single district, for example. So if this sticks, well, it's a different situation, but we can't discuss it with Kimberly. Does anybody have any questions for Kimberly that she in fact can discuss? And I will also want to point out at 6:59 and UNNC, we as a board do have quorum now, so we can cease this session. And I should probably stop the share so I can see what's going on. Okay, so we have quorum and it's almost 7 o'clock. Does anybody have any further questions, or Kimberly, do you have any further comments?
No, I would just stress, just go to our website and see when all the meetings are. We have a meeting tomorrow, and I think through the weekend through Sunday. They're continuously through the month of December. So just please tune in if you can to hear those discussions of why they're moving things a certain way. I think it's really valuable, and you can provide your feedback live. So I just really want to stress that.
Okay. Okay, so going once, going twice. Okay, this presentation is closed and we do have quorum, so we can call the UNNC Governing Board meeting of December 2nd, 2021 to order. And I am going to share the screen again, only it's a different screen. And forgive me as I look for what I'm trying to share, which is the agenda. Hopefully this is right. And here we are. So having called the meeting to order, we need to do a roll call. Teresa. Are we ready for that? But
Yes,
you're
I
muted.
am. Sorry, thank you, I am. Okay, I'll start with a different order this week. So Jasmine Johnson. Jasmine is not here. Dorit Dowler Guerrero. Dorit?
She had sent an email that she would have to drop off and then come back.
Okay, Dorit is
Sorry,
not here.
Oh,
this is
there
Dorit,
she
I'm
is.
here. Sorry about that.
Okay, that's all right. Thank you, Dorit. Dolores Spears.
Present.
Dolores is here. Raheem Dawson.
Here.
Raheem is here. Taylor Fife.
Here.
Taylor is here. Charlie Papp. Paul King.
Here.
Paul is here. Carlos Carrick. Laura Myers.
Here.
Laura is here. Paula Southern.
Here.
Paula is here. Grace Yu.
Here.
Grace is here. Lolita Justice.
She was here earlier.
Yes.
Present.
She's
I'm
there.
here.
All right, thank you, Lolita. Dennis Lesky.
Here.
Dennis is here. Teresa Masonette is here. Michael Kimbrough. Chris Carlson.
She's present.
Here.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. Greg Jackson.
Present.
Greg is here. Nancy Cruz. Sarah Lacey. Lizzie Moro Misato.
Here.
John Arnold. Lizzie is here. John Arnold.
Here.
John is here. Thank you. We have quorum.
Thank you very much. I'd like to draw everyone's attention to item number 2. This is not a discussion, just draw your attention to that. The Board of Neighborhood Commissioners and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment have determined that we are to continue to meet virtually. And that's under the authority of AB 361. So we are continuing to meet on Zoom, but virtually for the foreseeable future. Next, item 3, approval of the agenda. So I'd like to run through the agenda a little bit. There are some items that we are probably tabling. So we have our usual public comments, then government agency reports and comments, a board member training update. On the secretary's report, my error, we've already approved both sets of October minutes, so we are tabling A and B because it's already done and only doing 8C. So to approve the agenda, we'll have to table those 2 items. Treasurer's report, discussion about board vacancies, appointing representatives to fill currently vacant board seats, internship proposal from Cal State Dominguez Hills. Greg, are we prepared to move forward on that? Sarah Lacey unfortunately cannot be with us tonight.
Yeah,
Are you good?
we can discuss it. Yes,
Okay.
we can discuss. Yes.
Okay, so we'll leave it there. An awful lot from planning and zoning. So Crenshaw Crossing, our mobility and transportation subcommittee mission and goal statement, a proposed draft resolution for SB 9, an administrative update to community impact statement we had previously adopted, but we adopted it twice as long as we could submit it. So it's been revised to be the right length. And Ciclavia update, emergency preparedness update from Dennis. Quick, Greater Los Angeles homeless, good, 2022 twice, update, which I'll do if Tori's not here, committee updates, and under executive committee, if Nancy doesn't arrive, for now, we'll keep in the standing rules, but that's sort of Nancy's baby. And a funding request for business cards. And then if we're still at all awake, we'll get to the president's report. So that is the agenda. Again, the adjustment that will have to happen is tabling items 8A and B. And is there anything else?
I move to approve the agenda with those changes as proposed by board.
Is there a second?
A second, Paula.
Okay. I think we can do this with hands.
Raise your hands.
Yeah. So can everyone who wants to vote in favor raise your digital hand if you are able, or on video your real hand, please? And of course, I can't see the hands because I'm on the share screen. So can Teresa, you count? Sorry.
Yes. Well, I see all the hands so far. So you actually want to count, or?
13.
I just want to know that we have a majority of people present. Of board members present. I just can't see. I can only see 5 people and my screen share.
I counted 13 hands up.
I got 13.
14, 15. I see 15.
Okay, we're good. Thank
And
you.
I'd like to bring to Teresa's attention that Jasmine is present.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, I'm going to stop the share. Thank you all very much. And thanks to everybody for patience with, the screen sharing. I mean, it's the hardest part of the Zoom meeting, I think. The next item is public comments and announcements on any item not on the agenda tonight. 1 minute per person. And there's a whole bunch of hands raised, but I'm guessing that's because some of them are up because they were voting on the agenda. So we'll take a moment. I have a hand from Teresa, from Herbert Sample, and from Brittany Liu. Teresa.
No, I'm sorry. I needed to remove mine.
Okay. Herbert Sample.
Good evening. My name is Herbert Sample. I own a triplex on the 2800 block of Bronson Avenue. I also live there. I've had some discussions with Mr. Fife about this a few weeks ago. I'm going to ask that the council sometime early next week have a hearing on the restriping of Adams Boulevard, which I believe was ill-conceived and ineptly designed for various reasons, which I don't have time to get into here. But I think that a hearing on this restriping is called for. I believe one that includes representatives from the various city agencies that proposed and implemented this restriping, along with LAPD, mayor's office, whoever is running the council district in this area at the time. UNNC, as I understand it, approved that plan, that proposal years ago. And now that it's been done, I think it's a mess. So I'll leave it at that. I would request a hearing be held on this sometime next year.
What was the street?
Adams Boulevard, between Crenshaw and Fairfax.
Okay.
Teresa, Charlie has entered the room.
Okay. Brittany, your hand is up.
Hello, good evening, everyone. My name is Brittany, and I'm a neighbor and community organizer with the organization Redeemer Community Partnership. As you may know, we've been trying to work on learning more about the Murphy Drill site located at 2126 West Adams Boulevard. And I wanted to share a quick update with you all about a recent Cal OSHA citation and notification of penalty that was issued in mid-October, but we just learned more details recently. And what we found out was that there were 9 violations issued in total for worker safety violations, ranging from lack of electrical equipment safety, unsanitary emergency eye wash water, and unprotected guardrails for the ladderways on site. In total, there were 3 serious violations, 5 general violations, and 1 regular violation, and a penalty totaling $12,130 issued to the operators. We hope to just continue learning and working alongside UNNC as we uncover more things, and also prior to the upcoming public hearing, which is currently scheduled for February, to hear the conditions and operations at the site. And as we can see from this update, it's just like an ongoing notice that neighborhood oil drilling is just fundamentally incompatible with both community and worker health and safety. So anyway, thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Brittany.
Brittany,
What was the work
this
site again?
is Murphy Oil Site.
I'm sorry? Sorry?
Repeat the work site.
Oh, the Murphy drill site. It's located at 2126 West Adams Boulevard.
At Gramercy.
Mm.
So the next person is Severin Martinez, but you'll be able to speak in the next item under the government agency report. So you might still be the next person, but is there anybody else with general public comments? And I have sadly not been watching the time. Have we done a full 5 minutes on this? Did anybody notice? Hopefully. Okay. So
Yes, I believe we have. I believe we have.
thank you. Okay, so the next item is government agencies, reports and comments, a combination of Council District 10 report, other government officials and city agency reports, and the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. So I would like to follow my word and let Severin Martinez be next. And in this case, because it's something on the agenda, you can make your announcement, but if anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand and it can be answered. Thank you. So,
Okay.
and do you need to present visually anything? Do I need to make you a co-host?
No, I'm just making an announcement, so I'll try to
Okay.
be brief. Hi everybody. My name is Severin Martinez. I'm part of a team with the Department of Transportation working on an initiative called Stress-Free Connections. And I believe the project team has emailed this neighborhood council in the past, but in short, this is a planning project that looks to create a network of residential streets that can encourage more walking and biking while also discouraging cut-through traffic and speeding. And I want to be clear that this project doesn't propose anything specific and it doesn't have funding to actually build anything, but this is the first step in a process of identifying potential future projects that could calm traffic and improve accessibility for walking and biking. With that said, we're now in a position where we've identified some corridors in your general area, and we're starting to think about the types of street changes that would be necessary to accomplish our overall goals of reducing cut through and improving accessibility and comfort for walking and biking. And we don't have the details locked down quite yet, but we are planning an event in January called a Neighborhood Design Lab, and we hope that you'll come check it out. So the details are still tentative, but we are aiming towards, I believe, January 8th or 9th, and we're tentatively considering Vermont Square Park as the location for this event. So if any of this interests you and you want to be kept in the loop, you can send us an email at stressfreeconnections@lacity.org. And if you want to RSVP, even though it's still kind of tentative, if you want to RSVP to this January event, you can send us an email at that same address and include in the subject line South LA RSVP, since we will be likely providing food and want a head count of participation.
Could you put
And,
your,
Can you,
Oh, sorry.
can you repeat that email address so I can put it in the chat?
Yeah, I'll
Connection.
drop it in the chat. It's stressfreeconnections@lacity.org.
Okay, so when we did get an email, and when I replied, I added Taylor Fife, who can raise his hand and say, hey, who is UNNC's chair for our mobility and transportation subcommittee. And I know that Dennis Leskey's ears perked up too, because he's working on some traffic calming ideas for Harvard Heights. So we'll add him to the list as well. I mean, all of us are interested in this, but we have some particular people that I want to make sure that you guys have on your list. Lizzie.
Yes, hello, Severin. Is this connected at all with the current Slow Streets program? And if you know who is the current liaison, because I know that there were some staff changes recently for Slow Streets.
Yeah, so this isn't directly related, though if there is any overlap, we will certainly look to, capitalize on that. The current contact for Slow Streets at the department is Kevin Acabio.
Okay, all right. Yes, we've been working with him. Thank you, Severin.
Of course.
Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, are there any other, I will come back to CD10. Are there any other government or staff agency type reports? And then we'll come back to CD10, then we'll go to the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I see no hands raised. So I think I saw Danielle Mero from CD10. Yes. Hi there.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Just here to say a couple things. First thing on my list would be the fireworks starting yesterday and then up until the beginning of February. The LAPD's communications division has opened up the fireworks, reporting the fireworks, and that would be through the Ask LAPD number. Fortunately, we still have a few signs left over from, I believe it was 4th of July, that advertise this number and this information. So if you, Laura, want to give me a count of how many you would like to have, I can get that for you and see how many I can pull for you and for UNNC in the neighborhoods. I'm going to steal a little bit of thunder from Ciclavia. It's December 5th at 9 a.m. It's starting on MLK. It's on MLK from Central to Crenshaw, and then it goes up Crenshaw to about Expo. So I'm planning on going, so maybe you'll see me there with my daughter. Redistricting, they were supposed to do a vote on it yesterday, but there was a delay. I think it was because there was a technical change in Koreatown. It was literally like one little street. I think it was 11th Street. That was kind of the issue. So it's going to vote on it. Final vote is for next week. Another announcement from our office. I'll be sending out a flyer shortly once it's approved. We are having a snow day, I guess it would be, in Leimert Park. We're going to have 60 tons of snow, hot chocolate, free goodies for the kids, pictures with Santa, arts and crafts, a few shopping booths on the street there, and then it's going to be fun. I think there's going to be music, and it's going to be very festive. It is set for December 18th at 5 p.m. and anybody's welcome. So like I said, I'll send out a flyer shortly when I have that available. And then we're also doing different other events in our district. So I'll send those out as well. The last thing I have to report, and this is my favorite subject, the trash cans on Washington. We're currently talking to Los Angeles Conservation Corps. They're the ones that service those cans. We're looking into increasing service for both Washington and Pico Boulevard. So hopefully we start seeing it. We're going to definitely see, I would say that, definitely see an improvement on the cleanliness there, and also hoping to pull out a few of the problematic cans on both boulevards. But hopefully that's going to definitely keep things a little bit cleaner just for both boulevards in general. And that's all I have for now.
What as you said was in Leimert Park snow day? Where is it, in the village, or where is it?
In the village, yeah, in the park.
Okay, so Teresa has her hand up, and then Dennis has his hand up.
Thank you, Laura. I just want to say thank you so much, Danielle. You know, I contacted you regarding those trash cans on Washington, and I appreciate you following up on that and making sure that those cans are going to be emptied. Thank you.
Oh yeah, no, like I said, I did these for 2 years and I know like you could tell I could tell you everything in those trash cans. So it's ironic that I was cleaning them at one point and now I'm trying to make sure that they get cleaned. So yes.
Dennis.
Danielle, I contacted you previously about parking abandoned vehicles along Washington in my district in my region between Normandy and Western, to the point where I was reporting them abandoned for 3 weeks in a row. This is a 1-hour parking zone. And so I contacted you about parking enforcement. I see up on Venice, on the other side of my area, that there's regular enforcement, but for some reason, just like the trash cans, we're having problem in Washington. What can we do about that?
I've been in contact with Captain Hill. He's both Captain Hill and the lieutenant. It's very difficult to get a hold of them in the first place. We were supposed to have a meeting with them regarding a PPD to your neighbors to the east, or to oh Lord, I forget, West Adams Sugar Hill Neighborhood Council. I always forget. Washna is what it's called. We've been having an issue there with parking, and I'm just trying to get them to enforce it in the entire area. So it's a struggle. I'm still working on it, but they are aware, and I'll definitely let them know about this issue with the RVs is because there are people dwelling in it. LA DOT will not enforce certain things. They do enforce red curbs and street sweeping. But just so I can have this written down again and it's fresh, it's Washington, between Western and what street, Dennis?
Normandy.
Normandy, okay.
Yeah, and I will say that some of those were just delivery vans that were, not being occupied, but that's a judgment call for whoever comes out.
Okay, I'll definitely put it on his radar again because they are in that area, especially like from 3 in the morning until 4. So I'll let them know.
Okay, Lizzie, then Taylor, then Chris.
Ooh, popular today.
Yes.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
I'm well.
You mentioned Ciclavia, so I'm gonna be reaching out to you in case you guys have any brochures or swag that you can give us, because the UNNC is going to have a booth there, a table.
Okay, yeah, I'll see. I know we're not really having any part of it because it's mostly in a different district, but I can definitely shoot me an email, please. That way I can
Yes,
keep
I
on top
will.
of it. And
I will. And
Thank
also I would like to report this week I've been driving a lot on Adams and a little bit, I think it's west of Arlington. There is an RV abandoned, obviously that caught fire and it's just there. It hasn't been towed away yet.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know when it was caught on fire? Or it's just been there for a few weeks, days?
I've driven by 3 times this week on Adams, so I noticed it.
Paul King can tell you the exact day because I saw a post from him, but it's not just there, it's sort of there partly in the lane. So it's blocking traffic just a little bit.
Yeah, so
okay, yeah.
It's in front of Elegant Manor.
Exactly. Very close to
Okay,
it.
I'll give this to Mary, and then I'll follow up with her and make sure she handles this, because especially if it's blocking one of the lanes, then yeah.
Okay, Taylor, Chris, then Dolores, and then we probably need to move on. But anyway, Chris,
Well,
Taylor first. Taylor first.
Not to pile on, but since we're on the topic, I figured I'd kind of blend Dennis and Lizzie's comments, which are that Adams is also supposed to be 1-hour parking. And similarly, there are cars that have been there for weeks. And I kind of assumed that maybe the 1-hour parking signs were just old, but and like it's not actually 1-hour parking. But if that area is actually 1-hour parking, it would be cool to get some cars cycling through. It's like a very, it's a commercial zone. So
I understand. And then it's another issue too. They always come back is with they're short staffed. So I mean, every department is short staffed. But I'll let I'll continue working on Washington, and then I'll let Mary know about Adams.
Thank you.
Okay, Chris, then Dolores.
That an issue on Washington Boulevard, particularly to the east, west of Vermont, between Vermont and Normandy. There seems to be an established pattern now of business deliveries parking their their big trucks right in the middle of an active traffic lane and offloading to service, goods and services along businesses on that corridor. And it's quite hazardous because people then start weaving around these quite erratically, and they're relatively large trucks without a lot of vision around them. And it's a daily thing because I traverse that a lot. And they literally just park and put down their ramps and start bussing, hand carts over to the curb in the middle of Washington Boulevard. And it's a real hazard. So I wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, I drive through there every day.
Chris
Unfortunately,
Carlson. I know who she is.
What? Who's talking, you guys? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so I drive through there every day going home, so I know what you're talking about. Unfortunately, anything east of Normandy is CD1, but what I can do is I can send over an email to them, just let them know about your concern, and then I believe I have your information, so I'll provide that to them and they can follow up with you.
Okay, and Dolores, let's make this the last one because trying to keep us on time.
Hi, Danielle. I want to know if Mary has sent an update or given an update on the thrift shop on Jefferson, right at Western, that is blocking the alley with their business items. And I think, Lizzie, did you say that they had a jumper house parked in the set up in the alley as well? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Yes, I saw a bounce house. That was the last thing I saw. My jaw dropped, so I picked it up, and then somebody suggested that I purchase a hat pin.
You're gonna get arrested.
Yeah, there was a
bounce house. Do that. But this
presumably for sale.
Danielle, this problem is getting progressively worse. I think Mary said that
Danielle Marrow.
What?
Yeah, everybody, could you mute yourselves?
You're unmuted.
Yeah, please mute yourself if you're not called on.
Yeah, because that problem there is getting progressively worse. You can't go through that alley at all. All of the items that they're selling is up and down that alley, and they're blocking the sidewalk, the alley. They're moving their goods over into the other businesses' parking area. It just not only is a safety hazard, it's an eyesore, and something needs to be done. And I know she had contacted some department, building and safety or DOT or somewhere, but it seems like nothing is being done.
Okay, and Dolores, you said I have a thrift shop on Jefferson. What was the cross street?
Western.
Western.
It's just east, just west of Western.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chicken business right on the corner, and then this thrift shop is right next door.
Okay.
Danielle, please tell Mary that I forwarded my notification from the 311 report that I made. I forwarded it to her on Monday because it showed that it had been closed, but all the junk is still out there.
Okay.
Outside of the store, blocking the alley and on the sidewalk.
Okay, so I'll follow up with Mary probably tonight.
Right, and Danielle, I think this was announced a month ago at our last meeting, but Carly Katona has been appointed the caretaker for Council District 10, correct?
Correct. So she has pretty much all the power to sign contracts and anything for our office, except for the right to vote.
And how are you guys handling making motions? Is there a particular council office that's handling this on our behalf, or does Carly have to go kind of begging for each one to different council offices, if you know?
I don't know. I don't deal with any of the policy stuff. It's above my pay grade, but I can get some more information. I can have Fernando, get in contact with you, Laura, because I don't know the details for that.
Okay. All right. Well, it was just a matter of curiosity. Can we move on to the department to our Dunn representative, Mr. Nyambura?
Thank you, Madam President. Happy Thursday, everybody. Hope everybody had a great week, and hopefully everybody will have a blessed weekend. So again, my name is Gibson Nyambura. I am your neighborhood empowerment advocate. Just a couple pointers, a couple points of reference. I want to touch base on. You guys received my email in regards to the regional grievance panel. As you know, the department is striving to ensure that we identify each board member for a regional grievance panel, as we want to be able to help train board members and participate in the grievance process whenever a grievance is filed against a neighborhood council. Historically, we always just went to the same few people, but we want to make sure that each neighborhood council identifies one person. We usually make sure that they're trained, they get guidance from the city attorney's office. And on average, sometimes the last grievance took about 3 hours. So it's usually about 3 to 5 hours of your time, not concurrently, but just over a process of whenever a grievance is filed on a neighborhood council. And so that email is asking the board to identify someone if the board wants to take action to make sure that they officially identify that person, and then we'll keep that database. As you know, as the department has been, as the grievance process is being streamlined, we want to make sure that we use this neighborhood council. We want to use neighborhood council board members to participate in the grievance process as a way of just making sure that we have checks and balances within the NC system with NC board members before the department has to intervene on any type of matter. Also, the other update is there has been extension for the planning and able training has been pushed to January 1, 2022. It feels weird saying 2022. It takes a minute to remember that 2021 is already over, and thankful to be here and blessed. And so, yeah, so there's an extension on that, and it's been detailed in the monthly profile. And with that, I don't have more updates just yet. That was it.
Yeah, Dorit has her hand up.
I'm very interested in the grievance procedure panel. I'd like to join it, but I have a question. Is there a certain days and times of the week or is it all going to be online so you can read the grievance and do everything at your own?
So right now, actually, you can see which grievances have been filed on our website currently. And so we always make sure we follow up. The grievance right now is going to be virtual, but we only have grievance panel do one grievance at a time. We don't bombard the grievance panel with multiple. You just do one grievance at a time per region. And sometimes some regions may never have grievances filed against the board. So we always make sure that we just have folks are in the process to make sure that if one comes within the region, we're able to reach out to you and you're able to join it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, are there any other questions? So because we all got the email after the agenda was posted, we are not able tonight to select anyone for the grievance panel. So we'll put that on the January agenda. And Dorit, just so you know, at least one other person has also volunteered. And Gibson, we're not able to submit 2 names, or are we?
Just one. One.
Okay.
Actually, we could do 2. We could do 2. Yes.
Right. So but we can't do any tonight.
No.
We can do it. We can agenda this for the next meeting. Okay. Are there any other questions? Okay.
Also, just one more thing. Sorry. In the monthly profile, there's also our department's budget proposal in the next fiscal year, to which the department is asking for 15% increase of 3 million. So please, it's in the monthly profile. So if anybody wants to take a look at the budget proposal, just want to say that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Spears, I see your hand up.
Hi, Gibson. That meeting that was canceled of the commissioners, where there was going to be a meeting regarding their the code regarding expelling people from the board.
The code of conduct?
I think it was a code of conduct. It was canceled, and I didn't see a notice where it was rescheduled.
I haven't. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if they've rescheduled it, so I don't have a good answer to that question.
Okay, thank you. That's it.
Okay. Next up on the agenda is the board member training report. And I think Gibson definitely took away a piece of it because we already know that the new due date for anti-bias and planning 101 training is now January 1, 2022. And Gibson, did Dunn decide if our entire board does or does not need to take the planning 101, given our unique way of handling our planning and zoning committee? Because if everyone has to take it, we kind of need to know that.
I'll be honest with you, I totally forgot about that, and I'll put it on my to-do list right now so I can prioritize it. I apologize that whenever I'll put it on my to-do list and prioritize it, and there'll be an email correspondence for me.
Thank you. So for at the moment, we've just identified the co-chairs and the chair and our subcommittee chairs as being required. But given how we handle our, we don't appoint other people. So you just need to let us know.
I will.
Or extend the deadline if the decision's not made in a timely manner, either way for us. Thank you. John's hand is up.
I just want to say it's barely a training. It's a 1 hour seminar without a quiz. I put on your earphones and make dinner, and you're done. And so if anyone wants, it won't hurt to take it.
John, did you take it a third time?
I did, just to get it off my record.
I see. Because John and I both took it twice a year ago. We took it in the live session, and then we took it in the webinar session that the planning department created to verify that it worked. But John and I have each gotten emails from Per Training, which is personnel, right? Saying, hey, you have to take it. And I've said, I'm not, but John followed the rules. So you're saying it was easy?
You just listen to it. It's an hour.
All right.
Dorit had her hand up first.
I'm just gonna say, I also took the training, and while it was going on, I deep cleaned the kitchen. So honestly, it's not a bad training to take.
Okay, but on the other hand, then Dunn needs to stick it into, in other words, you can't just log into Cornerstone and pick your trainings, right? That's a Gibson question. So
no, the training, you don't pick the training. We just let you know which one. Right.
So let us know, and obviously put it in the Cornerstone if everyone has to take it, and it's just. But I agree with John. It's really easy, but it's just that it's not going to be easy if we learn on Christmas Day that we have to finish it by New Year's Day. So okay.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, let's mind our clock. In terms of comments that aren't.
Okay. All right. So Dolores and or Greg on the other things on board member training, if there is anything else on board member training.
We still have Carlos Couric, who has not taken ethics training, and I did send him a lengthy reminder. And I also know, I think I sent 2 reminders to him. And then I finally sent a notice to rosters at Empower LA, as well as to Kyle Stone, indicating his training status and asking for guidance as to what next steps, if any, to take. There's quite a few board members who have not taken the anti-bias training, but we were just notified that that timeline is extended. And we have one other board member that has not taken the funding training. And that's it. And I have not heard back from Kyle or whoever monitors Rosters LA. They have not responded to my email.
Okay, and Greg's been upping his hand.
Madam Vice President, do the new team members have their login for Cornerstone?
One of them does. I don't know about the other one.
Okay. All right, if anybody needs any help with that, then we can help you with that.
Okay, Teresa, then Lolita.
Thank you, Laura. Dolores, can you please tell me who was ineligible to vote today? So there's one person ineligible to vote on funding, correct? Besides Carlos?
Yes, that would be unless I have not received a notice, that would be Grace Yu.
Okay.
On the funding, she's taken the other training. And then the other member is Lolita.
So Grace is ineligible to is ineligible to vote on funding, and Lolita on nothing or just funding?
She, according to Empower LA's website, she hasn't taken any
Okay.
training.
We're
unless
talking about Lolita in third person, so let Lolita tell us.
I don't,
Sorry.
hi, I completed all that training yesterday and I have proof that I have completed the training.
Did you send me an email?
I didn't know I had to send an email to let anyone know because it said on the thing that it will update to my chart that I completed everything.
Well, that's why I ask everybody to send me some sort of a notice to let me know, because they don't update it on a regular basis. So
We updated
Okay,
it
no
just.
problem. I have pictures to show that I completed because I go through this with my certification with work. So
Lolita,
here it is right here. I can email
Lolita, do you want to email it to me right now?
Sure.
My email is Gibson.
Yeah, if you look.
Okay.
Nyambura.
Can you
So
put it back? Okay, I need
You
this.
just put a dot in the middle, right?
Mhm.
And so Gibson.nyambura@lac.org. Grace,
Okay, great.
yeah.
I'll get all this over to you because I completed it all.
Grace, were you able to complete your funding training as well? I just want to ask because.
You know, I did like 3 trainings. So besides ethics, I did a couple of others. I put all the ones that I thought I saw. I'm not sure.
Your funding is the
Okay.
only one that's missing, but my colleague is not in the office right now, so yeah, sorry about
Okay,
that.
so here's what we'll do. Luckily, we don't have a lot of funding tonight, but Lolita, if you'll send to Gibson your thing, because the code of conduct is what allows you to vote at all for anything tonight. So that's, and then on the funding, I think we only have 1 or 2 items anyway.
And she also CC Dolores, so she would have that on her files.
Right. And, okay,
Yes, no, yes.
I missed what you asked, Greg. I'm sorry.
Ms. Lolita, can you also CC Vice President Dolores, so she would have it on her files also?
Dolores, are you Dolores Spears at UNNC.org?
Yeah, Dolores.spears@UNNC.org.
Yeah.
And Teresa, and then can we move on?
Yes, I just quickly, I know I'm next, Laura, so I'm just going to take a
Okay.
liberty here for a second. Grace, can you please tell me the correct pronunciation of your last name?
You.
Oh, okay, thank you. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay. So now that we've gone through the embarrassing, what did somebody say? Walk of shame.
Walk of shame.
The embarrassing walk of shame. Can we move on to the next item, 8, Secretary's Report, and it's only 8C, approved November 4, 2021 minutes. And Teresa, I had made you a co-host if you wanted to post them.
Okay.
If you wanted to, yeah, perfect.
And I do want to apologize. I mentioned to Laura that I thought we were behind on several meeting minutes, but the other meeting minutes have been approved. It's really executive, Dolores, that we are behind on our meeting minutes, approval of our meeting minutes.
Okay.
And I said, that's good because we only have to do one.
It's like this was yesterday.
Okay. Wait,
Sure,
back, if you go back,
Is this Dorit?
I
Doreen has her
have
hand up.
two remarks, when you're ready for them.
Okay.
You ready for them?
Are they corrections in the minutes?
They're kind of corrections. I just want to first say thank you, because being the secretary is the second hardest job that we've got on this board. The first being the treasurer. On number 5, it'd be nice if you could just sort of make little bullet points of when someone does public comment, maybe what they brought up, not a big long explanation, but maybe just the subject matter.
Okay.
And on number 7,
So let me
government
just hold on just a second, Dorit. For instance, like last week, I think in this meeting, you mentioned about celebrating Veterans Day. So you
Yeah.
would like to have a tab next to that, say, or in parentheses, something like that. Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking about?
Not just for me. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't want
no,
to say only I deserve that, but everyone, just a little tab saying, Sandra brought up this or Dolores brought up that.
Okay.
And on number 7, it'd be really nice to know just highlights of what the government representatives brought up. Just a little thing of like, they talked about this, they talked about that. No transcripts, but just a little thing.
Okay, I hear you. I will try to accommodate that next time.
Thank you. And once again, thank you so much for being the secretary.
You're welcome.
And one thing under public comment on the minutes, I mentioned to the new board members who were candidates at the time, I wanted to make a correction because I said once they were seated, they could vote. Well, that was in error. After once they're seated and they take certain trainings, then they're allowed to vote. I just wanted to make that correction.
So I can't easily raise my hand, Teresa, but
I don't see any hands. Oh,
yeah,
do you have a question too, Laura?
On number 7, it's Sarah Lacey, not Stacy Lacey. Sorry. I'm sorry I didn't notice that before.
Just so you guys know, I looked at West Adams Neighborhood Council and their meeting minutes were 9 pages.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm pretty happy I'm able to kind of condense ours and keep them relatively short, but I will make every effort to add those 2 additions.
Right. So is there
can
a
I-
motion to approve
motion?
the minutes with the corrections, with a 1 correction?
Chris Carlson moves to approve minutes with the correction stated.
I
Is there-
second Izzy.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And so again, this is one of those where we don't need to do a roll call vote. So if you are in favor of this motion to approve the minutes with the 1 correction, please raise your digital hand. Okay. This motion
15?
passes. I don't know, but certainly it
I got
passes.
15. I got 15, Teresa.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone, please lower your hand, or I'll do it for you if you want.
Okay, treasurer's report. And Greg, I did download the MER if you did not have a chance. So
I did.
you did. Okay, so I'll make you a, hang on, I've got to have to find you, make you a co-host.
Thank you.
Like, can you?
It'll come
My,
to you.
I know, it's sort of like, wait a minute, it's out of alphabetical order.
Okey-doke.
There we go. I found,
Okay, so let me see if I can share screen.
hang on,
Not yet.
now you can.
Okay, doke. 2 items I want to show the team the monthly expenditure report. This is from October, and it shows us the beginning balance of the month, the remaining. First of all, can everyone see this clearly?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
then the remaining balance outstanding, which is below, and then commitments and net available. And then the second section here is just tells us the amount of money that we adopted in each area and the unspent amount in each area. And then this section here is outstanding expenditures. Since this is in October, these things have actually been executed. So, we paid Ann, we refunded Teresa her amount. Dynasty Youth Association has received their check, and then we paid Ann again. So the motion is that we approve the October 2021 monthly expenditure report. Or, I'm sorry, are there any questions? I'm sorry, I withdraw my motion. Are there any questions about the monthly expenditure report? Pretty
I
basic.
do not see any raised hands, Greg, so let's
Okay.
take your motion.
The motion still, I'll present the motion again.
Move to approve.
Yes. Yes.
Second, Paula.
Paula seconds. So Greg moves and Paula seconds
Okay, I will stop sharing.
approval of the October monthly expenditure report. And this is a BAC, and you can only vote on it if you're eligible to vote on funding matters.
And we're allowing Lolita to vote, correct? Gibson? Gibson,
I'm here. I'm looking for the email. I just haven't received it.
okay, well, but you haven't received it, so I'm just, on this particular motion, I don't think she is eligible to vote.
Just call
Yeah.
her name last while he's looking for it.
Okay, all right. So Jasmine Johnson, this is the approval of the October MER document. Jasmine Johnson?
Yes.
Jasmine is a yes. Dorit?
Yes.
Dorit's a yes. Dolores?
Yes.
Dolores is yes. Raheem? Raheem? Taylor?
Yes.
Taylor's a yes. Charlie?
Yes.
Charlie's a yes. Paul?
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Carlos is absent. Laura?
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Paula?
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Grace? Grace?
Grace is ineligible, isn't she?
This
Exactly.
is
I'm
not
in a-
funding. She can vote on this. This is just.
No,
correct?
this is funding.
It's fine.
Oh, this is absolutely funding. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry about that, everyone. Grace is ineligible. Dennis?
Yes.
Dennis is yes. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris?
Yes.
Chris is yes. Greg?
Yes.
Greg is yes. Nancy is absent. Sarah? Sarah's absent. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John?
Yes.
John is a yes. Lolita? Lolita is ineligible. Thank you.
Okay, so Greg, can we run through the status updates and any budget updates relatively quickly? Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you. This was not any sort of comment on your ability to run through things quickly. I'm just looking at the clock.
Okay. Let me move this down. Okay, so can everyone see this? Okay, so this is this is maybe too much information, but this is a screen capture that comes from the portal. This is our working budget, which we look at. The issues that I would like for us to look at is that the things that require our attention is that the neighborhood purpose grants, the one that's highlighted in red, is one that we have authorized back in September for Sons Matters. But the issue with this is that there are certain documents that are required, and we have requested those documents on September the 15th. We showed them how to obtain the documents on September the 17th. We reviewed we follow up on October the 20th, and we follow up on November the 12th. And that the document, the funding request cannot go through unless we have all the required documents. So with this, I'm recommending that we cancel this funding request because we can't execute it. It's money that's earmarked, it's money that's encumbered. But since we can't execute it, I'm suggesting that we cancel it. And that way we can use these funds for something else.
Dolores is
Any
raising her
questions?
hand. Yeah, Dolores is raising her hand. And Chris as well. Wait a minute, let me just finish. Dolores has her hand up. Chris has her hand up. And Greg, I think you have the authority to do it, but we can't vote on it tonight because it's not an action item. But Dolores has her hand up.
Did the stakeholder give a reason why she did not give you the required paperwork?
The stakeholder expressed her frustration with the requirements for the required paperwork, and the stakeholder did send me a document, which I informed them that that was not the correct document. So there was a conversation, but what needed to be done was not done, and the guidelines to how to obtain the required documents was not done.
Okay.
Chris?
Since we can't vote on this tonight because it's not on the agenda, put it as an action item on the January event agenda and give them notification that they have up till, that date to get their paperwork present and accounted for.
I've done all that multiple times.
It will be rescinded.
Yeah, I understand that. In this case, I think we just need to be more specific. It's the IRS determination letter for nonprofit. We don't have it. So we could not give this grant unless we had it. So that's what I'm saying. I don't know that we have to vote because we
I
are
don't think
not
we have to
able.
vote on it.
Yeah.
It's not really, I'm bringing it to inform you,
Right.
but we can't, even if we said we wanted to stand, it can't be executed.
Right.
So this is really more of an administrative matter of saying, this is something we voted on, and I know something we want to do, something that we should do, but we can't. So even if we voted, it's kind of like wishing. So but I don't want to overstep my authority, but it's more like we telling the board, we can't do it, so I need to cancel it.
Okay, so Lizzie has her hand up, and then I have a thought after Lizzie.
Greg, would you please remind me, are these funds for funding requests for a holiday event?
It is. It was.
What a
yeah.
shame.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
It is, yes.
Yes, I feel that I might need to talk to the stakeholder because this is in my region, even though that's not part of it's not my region per se, but it's my neighborhood. So I'm
gonna stop sharing too.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty. So really, yeah, I will follow the board's guidance, but really it's more of we can't, and I'm informing you that we can't, and that since I've given them sufficient time, that I need to just go ahead and click the button and cancel it.
Right.
So more or less kind of, unless someone has a real objection to me executing my duties, I think it's more of me just informing you that I need to do this.
So my thought is very simple. It's like they say, sometimes when you're at court, they dismiss charges with prejudice and sometimes without. And what that means is sometimes you can bring it back. So I would say that there's nothing to stop us from voting for it again once the IRS letter is in hand. So it sounds like part of the issue is just simply the IRS itself is just like everybody else hit with COVID and are shorthanded and it's been difficult and they just haven't issued the letter. But we can't we cannot do a NPG without that letter. So,
Right.
so
And so what I can do, just to inform the board, over the years, we've been allowing people to turn in the forms as we go through the process. But what I could do even before we vote on it is make sure we have everything ahead of time. So that may save that. Okay, on to the next subject. We have paid, these are things that we need to think about for the future. We have paid the photographer for the communication committee. We also need to think about paying the graphic designer is $1,500 for the future. And then also a historical event. We're looking into with contacting Cal Greenworks for their work or the lack of work for the Jefferson Greenbelt tree planting project. So we reached out to the CEO of the organization. We obtained the contact information for the permit people from the city. We're going to give the Cal Greenworks maybe until our next meeting to respond, but they haven't responded yet. To ask, because the issue is that they need to have funds to execute the project. We also know that if we cancel that project from last year's funds, that we can award those funds to another organization that can execute the work. So we're working on that. And so we might try to involve Lizzie's organization and then maybe the environmental group to work on that. So I think that's and also a future event. We received a request but this is just a general comment. If an organization receives, I can stop sharing. If an organization receives funds from us and we ask them to give us a report of how they spent the funds, and they don't provide a report on how they spent the funds, or they didn't spend the funds according to what they said they were going to do, they still have a right to come to us and ask for funds again. But I will always say to them, hey, you did not give us a report on how you spent the funds. And even though they have a right to present it, I will say to the board, this organization did not spend the funds the way they said they should, and that I will recommend to the executive board that we not approve their request. And I will do that as a matter of practice, but I will not, I cannot stop an organization from coming to us and submitting a request for funds. They can request it, but I will say to them, this is what was supposed to happen. You didn't do it. And this is a conversation we had. I'll remind them of the conversation we had, because I have conversations with them just between me and them to make sure it's okay. But that's also coming up before the board. We will have a case like that. And anyway, I'm done, other than when we come back to
thank you, Greg.
business card.
So,
Sure.
and this is as good an opportunity as any to tell everybody that we will probably have a deeper conversation about the Cal Greenworks at executive committee, and executive committee is the second Tuesday, not the third Tuesday of December, because of the holiday. So I'm not actually looking at the calendar. Sorry, maybe I am. So that will be the 14th of December. If this is a topic, you'll all get emails, but we're going to have a different date for executive. Okay, and Greg, we don't have any budget adjustments or anything, right? We can move on. Cool.
Any reimbursement? Anybody spend any money?
No.
Anybody bought a Mercedes they want some reimbursement for?
Nope.
No? Okay.
Well, I'm saying no personally. Okay. The next item is sadly quick. We will have a board vacancy. We don't currently have it, but Nancy Cruz is moving. And by February, I don't have a date certain. I don't know when her resignation will actually be. I don't know, have an effective date yet, but that would be an area rep for Region 5, Jefferson Park. And she basically told us early, because she said, why don't we market it pretty well? So with permission from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment, because I'm not sure how we market a seat that's not yet vacant, but on the assumption that we can, when we get a date certain from Nancy, we'll start marketing that. Probably not interviewing until January rather than 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. We're not going to interview on the 14th of December when we're just talking about this on the 3rd of December. So, okay. So the next item is for the vacancies we do have. Item 11, appoint representatives to fill vacant board seats. And we have 3 applicants for several vacant board seats on the UNNC governing board. So that's both the Area 2 representative seat 2, that's Harvard Heights, West Adams Heights, Sugar Hill. So Group B 2023, and an at-large representative, Group B, also 2023. So the board met, the executive committee, I'm sorry, met with 3 applicants. We have 2 applicants here tonight. We recommended appointing Sarah Longhenry to the at-large representative position, and we recommended moving forward both of the applicants for the Region 2 Harvard Heights, West Adams Heights, Sugar Hill. However, Nuriel, I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, Moghaven, probably terribly pronounced wrong, after we had our session, basically said he doesn't want to run against Karina, because she's lived in the neighborhood 50 years or whatever. You'll tell us the right number, and he's been here 5 months. So he's not here tonight, but he also wanted us to know that if an at-large position becomes available, another one, because he's not trying to run against Sarah Longhenry either. So, he was trying not to compete with other people. So with that said, I would like to introduce you to our 2 candidates, and we would, assuming we are moving forward, it's 2 separate actions. So first, I'd like to introduce Sarah. And Sarah, if you could unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and we can take up to 5 minutes of QA, including this introduction.
Okay, I'm Sarah Longhenry. I currently live in Jefferson Park, and I'm interested in serving as an at-large representative.
Right. And the reason you want to stick to at-large is because you'll be moving to Harvard Heights.
Yeah, that's the plan, and we're unsure about timeline, but it hopefully will line up about the same time as this term ends.
Okay. And so does anybody have any questions for Sarah? Hopefully you read her packet. Mm-hmm. Oh, Greg, unmute, please.
So I was just celebrating Sarah, and then I was doing that.
I appreciate that.
Got it.
Right.
Okay, so hearing no questions, no comments, the executive committee's motion, which is currently being made by Delora, sorry, is to recommend to the governing board that we appoint Sarah Longhenry as the at-large seat, Group B, seat
2.
Group B, no, there's no seats, Group B 2023. And assuming Dolores really is making that motion on behalf of executive committee, is that a yes, Dolores? Then who seconds?
You're muted, Dolores.
This is to read. I'll second it.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
And yes, and that's a BAC. Call the roll.
I'm ready.
Okay, go
Okay.
ahead.
Jasmine Johnson. Jasmine. Dorit.
Yes.
Was that?
You got
Dorit?
two yes, you got
Oh,
two
okay.
yeses.
Yeses.
Thank you. Dolores.
Yes.
Raheem. Taylor.
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Carlos is absent. Laura.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Lolita. I'm sorry, Lolita is eligible.
How am
No,
I
she's
eligible?
eligible. She's eligible. She's eligible.
I thought she didn't do the code of conduct either, or she did, but we don't have proof of that.
Gibson said that he had not received the email.
I've sent 7 emails. Can you check
Wait,
your
wait.
emails? And I
Send it to
sent you,
Dolores.
Dolores, and 7
Wait. Okay.
Okay, Dennis, I'll come back. Dennis?
Yes.
Thank you. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris?
Yes.
Greg?
Yes.
Thank you. Nancy is absent. Sarah is absent. Lizzie?
Yes.
Thank you. John?
Yes.
Thank you. And where are we?
So Lolita, would you mind just sending it to me because
You're good.
your
You got
email,
it.
You got it? Okay, thank you. Lolita?
never mind.
Lolita, how do you vote?
I vote yes. And
Thank you.
also I want to make sure he receives all of my completed training, not just the code of conduct. I completed all of them.
I see all three.
Thank you.
It passed your long hand. Now I remember.
Okay,
Thank
wait a
you.
minute. Yeah, this is good. Hang on.
Oh, yeah. Don't be cheating. Don't be cheating her. She worked hard on that stuff. That stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I got her email that says she's completed all 3.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, cool. I'm sorry. So obviously Sarah and then Corinne, you see what happens. So as soon as you get your login, take your training. So this Teresa, did we get a number of yeses?
Congratulations, Sarah.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Okay, the next item is still the same one as Corinne. You're going to pronounce your name for us as soon as you unmute Albrecht. If you could
Yeah.
introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Karine Alprich. You can, it could be pronounced Alprich. We can't normally go by that, or Alprich, German. So yeah. And I live on Harvard, and I'm running for the Region 2, Harvard Heights representative.
And since I already said 50 years, which was probably too long, can you tell us how long you've really lived there?
51 years.
Oh.
Yeah. Born and raised. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have questions or comments for her? So, and is it correct that your sister is also on the board of the Harvard Heights Neighborhood Association?
Correct. Correct. She just got newly elected as president of the Harvard Heights Association.
Cool. Chris Carlson?
Okay, Kareem, can you give us just a couple of quick things that kind of are on the front of issues or topics that you want to get engaged on that prompted you to run?
Yes, I am interested, as I mentioned prior to being involved in any committee for the homelessness. I've seen it in the years become increasingly real bad, and I want to be part of it and help assist in any matter. So I've already signed up, already have my team for the January 22nd count. So that's one that I know of. Also, any additional committees that are available, like outreach or environmental, I'm also interested in. And I just found it a great time right now for me to run. My sister and I have been increasingly getting involved in our community. The catalyst was just neighbors that would not be friendly to our other neighbors. And then all of a sudden we started going to association meetings and started meeting the council representative in our meetings and our local police officer liaison. And so we started opening our eyes on how we could get involved. And so we've been taking the steps.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so for this one, we don't actually have an executive committee motion other than to recommend both candidates, but only Corinne's here. So if someone would like to make a motion to appoint her to the, here, I'm going to say it out loud, Area 2 Representative, Seat 2, Group B, 2023.
This is Dorit. I will make that motion.
And this is
And I
Dennis,
will
and I'll
second.
second that.
Okay. Okay, so Dorit moved and Dennis seconded, appointing Corinne Alprecht. I did it wrong, close, but not
It's
perfect.
good. It's all good.
to the Area 2 Representative, Seat 2, Group B, 2023.
Okay,
And-
we're ready for the roll call.
Yes.
Okay, Jasmine.
Yes.
Thank you. Dorit,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Raheem.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Taylor. Charlie. Paul.
Yes. Sorry. I don't know why my space bar is not working.
That's okay. If everybody could unmute, that would be great. Paul.
Yes.
Thank you. Carlos is absent. Laura.
Yes.
Thank you. Paula.
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Thank you. Lolita.
Yes.
Thank you. Dennis.
The existing representative from Region 2 probably cast one vote for Corinne.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you.
Teresa is a yes. Michael. Oh, Michael's absent. Chris.
Yes.
Thank you. Greg.
Yes.
Thank you. Nancy is absent. Sarah is absent. Lizzie.
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John.
Yes.
John is a yes. And Sarah is ineligible. Thank you.
Okay.
Welcome to Sarah and Karine.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Get busy.
Thank you so much.
I know, for real.
And if we were in a real room, we would ask you to get up from the audience and move to the center table. But there's, you're already there. So, okay, the next item, item 12 is an internship proposal from Cal State Dominguez Hills. And we started this conversation last month. We went on to executive committee and we're back again. Although Sarah, unfortunately, was at the last minute unable to attend tonight, but Greg is participating in the discussion. So it's as a part of Cal State Dominguez Hills this possessive course in state and local politics, students participate in a service learning component. So the question is there a good way or multiple good ways for them to participate with UNNC? I see Greg has shared the screen, and there's been a couple, Greg, by the way, a couple of other thoughts that have gone, have been expressed about ways that we might be able to use these interns. But go ahead, Greg, and let's start the conversation.
Okay, have you ever wanted free labor, someone to help you out with your work as you labor as a member of UNNC? Well, this is your opportunity to have smart young minds, energetic young minds, young people, sometimes old people, that are ready to help you for 15 free hours of labor with your projects, with your committees, with whatever you're working on. Cal State Domingos Hills, they are running a program when their political science, where their students have to do an internship, and they're thinking that they could do that with us. So as a committee leader, as a leader of the community, as a person that's working in any area, these interns can help you. All you have to do is say, I want one or two. Just send me your name or send Sarah your name, and then we will match you with an intern. Maybe not this semester, but next semester, we can match you up with an intern. Free labor to help you.
Okay. Greg,
No,
you're
I'm not done. I'm not done.
Wait,
I'm on
you're
my
good.
I am good. That's it. That's the spiel. Come
Okay.
on, people. Let's put these young people to work, helping our city,
Okay,
helping
so
you, helping us.
all right. John has his hand up. I have my not hand up yet, but John has his
Okay,
hand
John,
up
go for it.
officially.
Okay, I will stop
So
sharing.
I'm not only do I have my hand up, I had my hand up first.
You had your hand
Yes.
up first, John. Go,
First
John.
and only at this
And
point,
planning,
but yes.
planning and zoning claims one.
Planning and zoning, I got you
We have
down
a
for
project
one.
for it. Therefore, I support this motion because I think it's great. And we have a great
We have you
policy
down for one.
idea for them.
We have you down for one intern. You can
Very
take two though. You can take two. They
Okay.
come in pairs. Anyone else? Laura, yes.
Okay, so two thoughts. One, we started to discuss a little bit at planning and zoning, but I have two thoughts. One is that I've already been asked by a couple of board members to start the new year off with a how to write community impact statement session at the community impact statement committee. And then going from that, I'm thinking, these are young people who are trying to learn about the political process at the city of Los Angeles, and maybe they are,
Yes.
maybe they're just trying to get a grade. But to learn how to write a community impact statement, but also to pick a general topic and then learn how to research the city's database for motions that are pending, research the content of that, and come back with a proposed community impact statement that we could vote on. It benefits them because it's a whole research and learning process, benefits us because we'll have more community impact statements to submit. And it also kind of broadens the people's perspective so that we're not constantly relying on a few people here at the committee who might have a particular bent for what they're interested in. So that's one thought. We'd have to run that past, obviously, the teacher. And the other thought is far more focused. We're beginning to explore, and Teresa and John can say more about this, but we're beginning to explore at our various committees that are pertinent, creating a tree policy for UNNC. And I think it would be really helpful for Teresa to have the help of an intern or two, maybe not in the writing of it, but in the research. But she can respond to what I just said.
Okay.
But
So ma'am, one second. So for the CIS, let me just get to the point. How many young people would you like to work on that area, and who's the point of contact that's going to supervise?
well, I think I'd rather ask the professor how many young people would want to.
No,
I mean,
that's not the issue. They have like 15 or more young people. So let's talk about what we want, and we can go to them. So how many would you like to work on the CIS?
So
Because they have like
Lolita-
15 people.
Let's hear, Lolita has her hand up. Let's see what other ideas are.
Well, I need to get a count. I'm trying to get a count.
Yeah, but
count.
I think I would take all the ones who are left over from not being assigned to particular committee
Okay.
chairs.
All
Right. In
put
other
you
words, this would be the thing that anyone who didn't get an assignment could have an assignment.
down. Understood. Okay.
Yeah.
Miss Lolita.
Well, I just want to say I'm in agreement with the interns because I feel like this would be great exposure for them, not only just, free labor, free assistance, but just the fact of the exposure for the young person to work, on work with an organization. And I also feel like how many young folks that we would need. I would think that each one of the committees should be able to at least have the opportunity to have one to work with them.
Exactly. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Teresa.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, Laura, you mentioned yesterday that I may want to have one, and my first inclination is to say, no, I'm going to do the tree policy and I don't need any help with that. So I would like to say that I will also wait. I agree with Lolita that maybe it might be a good idea for all the committees that want an intern to have them have first dibs. And if there's one after the assignments have been made, certainly I will try to find assignments and work with them to do research and help me with the tree policy.
Outstanding. Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lawrence. Or Mr. Reed.
Great idea. Thank you for spearheading this, Greg. I have a lot of experience working with MSW interns, Masters in Social Work for my career. And I have to say, someone said they don't know who would be interested in CISs. I got to tell you, a lot of students will be. They'll be interested not necessarily in just policy, but policies from different types of things. And as I believe Laura just said, sometimes we get the one or two people who like to do the CISs, like myself, and I have my things I'm interested in and maybe things that I'm not interested in. I could see us using interns who maybe don't get put into a committee, researching, paying attention to what's coming down the pike, what motions are going to be in front of the city council, to maybe send it to the right committee, saying, okay, there's all these things coming down about trees, send it to the tree committee, things coming down about unhousedness, send it to the homeless committee. So I could see maybe not being assigned to the CIS committee, but being assigned to send different motions to different committees, and maybe even helping those committees write the CISs. So this is awesome. And I think there's a lot of stuff we could do with this. Maybe it should be decided in executive committee, or maybe make an ad hoc committee to decide how we're going to do this.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Reed. So again, what I will do is I can either via email or a Google form send it out for you to sign up as a committee chair or as a committee member, just saying how many interns you want, and then a brief description of what you would like for them to do. So I can present that to Sarah and then to the professor. So we want to gather what we want them to do and then submit it to them, because he has a full class of kids. They all have to do it. So I would love for us to go as a big force using them, and perhaps we may even get some new members for UNNC to serve on those committees if we spark their interest. So thank you. That's the presentation. You will hear from me some more on this via email or shared Google Forms. That's my new thing.
Greg,
Do we
so
need a
both
motion or thing?
I don't think we need a motion yet, but we have me with a raised hand and Lizzie with a raised hand. So Lizzie, then me,
yes,
Laura.
Yes. Okay. Laura, who's first? Who's
Well,
first?
I'm going to let Lizzie be first.
Lizzie muted. Lizzie's muted. There you go, Lizzie.
Lizzie, you're
still
muted.
Sorry about that. For the outreach committee, maybe the free labor stuff sounds more appealing, because we would need we could use people to help us canvass the neighborhood.
Outstanding.
And
Yes.
I know Dolores has this big issue with the stakeholders who are not reachable, or who need the help in person. So
yes,
and maybe help fill out forms. So coming back to my initial question, back when this issue was first presented, I wanted to know how many of these students actually live within the UNNC footprint, because I think it would be a burden really for them to travel all the way from Dominguez Hills to here.
So what I gather is that you would like to have at least 5 students, but you want to know if they are in the footprint. You prefer to have those that are in the footprint. Is that a good? I can move forward with that.
I think would be more convenient for them,
Understood.
and also I'm just not sure. The outreach committee, it's really about grassroots canvassing, in person, engaging the stakeholders. So I don't know how it's not focused on policy necessarily. So I don't know how interested they would be, but
Well,
hey,
that-
we
that-
can use the help.
I
So
got you. So I'll have you down for 5,
yes.
and we'll work on that. We'll check, we'll
Thank you,
check.
Greg.
All right, Laura, again?
Yeah, so my basic thing is for anyone who thinks they want an intern or 3, I mean, it's not the number, but you need to write to Greg not only that you want them, but think of in terms of not just how it will benefit you, but how it benefits the students, because it's an internship. So, so write that up. I mean, in other words, here's my proposal for whether it be 1, 3, 5. I mean, that part, I'm not going to check with the numbers, but this is what they will learn by shadowing me, or this is what they will learn on this project, or this is what they'll learn by researching community impact statements, but just write it up in that way, because I think that's what we need to give to the 2 professors, one of whom is a board member, Sarah Lacey, but one of whom is not a UNNC board member. So they don't necessarily know what how we intersect. So anyway, and Paula has her hand up, and then I think we're not taking an action on this, right, Greg, at this point?
No.
Okay.
I just wanted to say, Raheem posted in the chat that communication committee would like to.
Got it.
Right. But again, for everyone who wants one, just send a sort of paragraph, sort of a goals and what they're going to learn, what you'd want them for, and then what you think, how it'll benefit the student as well.
Sweet. Anything else? All right, this item is closed.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we are moving to the long planning and zoning session. It's 8:30. We're not terribly off our timing. And I'm going to turn the gavel over to John, but I have a question for John. I mean, I know we have our presenters here for 13A, Crenshaw Crossing. Do we want to do it in the order that I placed it on the agenda? I think
so.
we do.
I think so.
Okay.
So we have the applicant, the developer of Crenshaw Crossing here. They came to planning and zoning last night. A little bit of history. The project has been in front of us for a couple of years now, but it has been slowly churning through the planning and metro process of approvals. In July, on July 27th, this board approved the project in concept, and the project has not significantly changed. Of course, the board can do whatever they want, but I think we already have approved it in concept, so consider that when you're considering what we do next, that we have approved it in concept. The next item that happened was in October. The applicant came before us for a final approval with some changes to planning and zoning, and just kind of a wrap up in advance of a large vote that's happening this month at I think it's like City Council and the CPC.
No, it's CPC.
City
Planning Commission.
which is a big vote. So this is going to seal the deal, as it were. We had a number of questions in October that the applicant then answered. One of them was about looking at the tree report that didn't exist in earlier iterations. And so we got that tree report. We had a couple other questions about park fees and about affordability, and the applicant answered those and subsequently represented to us last night. And that presentation last night spurred two conversations, one about affordability, one about trees, that we will tell you what our motion was. I think let's go after the applicant presents,
Right.
just get any new information.
Well, I know I turned the gavel over, John, but in the end, for our motion tonight, whatever the content is of the motion, what we are doing, and it has to be, it's a particular bureaucratic language, we're doing for the Planning Commission, a resolution and CIS. It's not the same as when we do a community impact statement for City Council, but we have to adopt a resolution and community impact statement for the Planning Commission in order for us to speak at the Planning Commission on December 16th in any reasonable form, meaning more than 49 seconds. So, so there will be a motion from Planning and Zoning, but I'm just giving you guys the bureaucratic framework for what we're doing. Okay.
Thanks for that, Laura. You can take the process gavel from me at any time you want. Okay, I'm going to hand it over to the applicant. Armin, are you going to be heading this up?
Armin isn't joining tonight.
Oh, Jen, are you heading up?
I'm here. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Jen McEllier. I'm a managing partner with the Watt Companies. We're the developer of the project in partnership with West Angeles CDC. John, I defer to you as to whether you would like us to go through our presentation that walks through the entitlement process to date and the updates on the affordability. We also, in response to last night, brought some additional slides that might be helpful to help contextualize the tree conversation. We can just jump right to that if you find
I think you should present anything that's a response from the past, starting from last night and going backwards. So I think whatever you want to do, and then we'll read the motion, and hopefully you'll have already presented your response to what we just talked about last night.
Okay, well, I know in the interest of time, I'll just make a short preamble on just the history of this project. So we've been coming to present this project to UNNC for the past 3 years. We were awarded this project that's sited at the intersection of Exposition and Crenshaw in 2018. We are building on public land. This is land owned by LA County and Metro. Our site, just for context, is directly across the street from West Angeles Cathedral. And we will be building 401 units of for rent apartments. We will also be building 40,000 square feet of commercial uses. Key to that commercial footprint is the grocer. That was a key component of the RFP that was issued in response to community feedback that was looking to bring more fresh food options into this community. So that's really the anchor tenant at the project. Over the course of the past 3 years, we received, I think, a very vocal response to the original response to a proposal to Metro and Los Angeles County, which set aside 15% of the property units as affordable, deed restricted affordable, at 50% of area median income. Over the course of the past 3 years, we have increased this to 20%, and our final hearing, which will be on the 16th of this month, we are willingly making it a condition of our approval that, subject to receipt of additional subsidy that we've applied for with the city of Los Angeles, if we receive that subsidy, we are making it a condition of approval that this project becomes 100% deed restricted affordable, with units set aside for incomes ranging from 0 to 30% of area median income, all the way up to moderate income and incomes in between. And if you wouldn't mind giving me just the screen share control, if that's possible. Oh, looks like I have it.
I gave that to you.
Thank you very much. I will just run through this very quickly just to give everyone a sense, because I think when there's conversation about affordability, you know, what's affordable to one person may mean something very different to another person. And so I know that the motion draft that was put forth supported the fact that we have now brought this project to a place where it can be 100% affordable. And when I talk about the area median incomes, we're setting aside units for people who make up to $24,000 a year. So there will be units set aside of the 400 units. All of them will be set aside at affordable levels. But we also heard from the community that people on fixed income, they fall generally under 30% of area median income. These segment of the property is set aside for that population. However, we were also told that there are people who make more than $24,000 who can't pay market, but would like to be at the property. So we've also set aside units at 50% of area median income. That means you can make up, this is for one person. That means you can make up to $41,000 a year. And even that, there were people saying, well, I still can't afford market, but I make more than 41,000. So there's another strata at up to $66,000 a year. And these incomes are set by HUD on an annual basis, and they scale up as you go to 1 bedrooms or 2 bedrooms and you start having more people per unit. So you can start getting bigger numbers when you start combining incomes. But I just wanted to lay out that that was one of the major changes that happened over the evolution of this project. Lastly, I'll just share some representative images. Again, this is now looking south down Crenshaw, and that's Exposition running east-west. The building here is on the east side. It's sitting right here, what is effectively on top of the new metro station for the LAX Crenshaw line heading south. This is another view looking east towards where the grocer will be located. This is an image looking directly east towards downtown, where you can see here, this is the transit plaza. We are dealing with some metro infrastructure that we have to build around. You'll see it here on the screen. This is the view from Victoria. We have some lower height buildings lining Victoria because that street and this facade is facing lower density fourplexes and 8-unit buildings. So the building steps back pretty significantly at this location. And then finally, this is the view looking up north from the southeast corner at Obama and Crenshaw. Right here, you see what remains or what will continue to be this Shell station that is not part of our site. And before I conclude my part of the presentation, I also wanted to follow up on the conversation we had last night. For those of you who participated, I think these reference images will be helpful to just set the stage for the exact location of the trees that were identified as being protected trees. Before we went to City Council in October of this year, our environmental document was circulated to the public. And in that document was a tree study that identified these 3 sycamores as protected trees. Protected trees, the impact of removal of the protected trees can be mitigated if you replace them 4 to 1. And I have Scott Baker, who's our lead landscape architect on the line as well, who will walk you through where these trees are located and the plan for creating an urban landscaped environment for this project, as well as some images that show the current condition of these trees and the current location. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Scott, if you wouldn't mind sharing your screen.
Great. Good evening. Yes, if somebody could allow me to present.
I just did.
Thank you. Thank you. So quickly, just picking up on what Jen was just speaking to, hopefully everybody can see my screen. The colorful dots on the screen represent all of the trees that are going to be added to the site. The blue trees are proposed on site. Green trees are new street trees. The purple trees are trees that Metro is providing along Crenshaw. And then the pink trees on Victoria and 2 on Obama are existing trees to remain. I think it's important to note, that, and I'll just point out the 3 sycamores that Jen was speaking to are here. And just overall, the project beyond the purple and the pink is providing 134 new trees. And in particular, the area along the transit where we would be providing new trees in native soil, that is to say, not on top of buildings, not on top of boxes, but in a condition that would allow them to really prosper and do well. And we're excited about the idea of bringing, great sort of public space with landscape, with shade trees that's activated, something that doesn't exist on these 2 sites at present. Importantly, I think we had a good discussion last night about the trees, the 3 sycamores in particular that we're proposing to remove. And I think it's important to put those trees in context. The tree report rated them as B and B- in quality, which suggests that they are still healthy, but not sort of optimized in that regard. So this is a photo from May of 2017 in the spring, and more recently in fall of 2020. Certainly, these are significant trees. Sycamores are an important native tree in California, but I think we can see from some of these images that they are not, and this is a plan view from January of 2020. These are not necessarily great trees, and so there was a decision or a decision made by the team to remove these 3 trees, but in exchange for that, take the opportunity to build back and expand the urban tree canopy with the proposed site plan. Jen, is there anything else you'd like me to speak to related to these trees?
No, I think we're available for questions. I mean, we had a team meeting this afternoon to review the current condition of the trees and talk through again sort of the magnitude of the additional trees that we're adding to the site. Additionally, revisiting the fact that we're somewhat constrained here. You can see the DWP transformer and how that's encroaching directly on where those trees are located. In addition to the fact that once the project is built, DWP will be enclosing this transformer and expanding it even closer to the trees. So I wanted to add that additional color, but at this point, we're available to take comments and questions.
Okay, so before we take comments, I think it'd be appropriate time to say what our motion was. So we had a long conversation, short conversation about affordability, which is an added aspect of the project that's different from what we approved or recommended to approve in July. And the new information about the 3 sycamores, which we had a long conversation about yesterday. So Laura, do you have the motion right in front of you?
I can get it, but I don't have, if you want to start describing, I will.
So the motion was basically, and we can, I think there's a fuzzy how, if we could do.
Yeah, I saved the chat, so I'll be able to do it. Just you can describe it.
And I can read it if you want.
Yeah, but I'm going to post it.
Oh, okay.
So basically, we were applauding and recommending that that the project, we support the project going to 100% affordability. And
no, that wasn't the motion.
Sorry, that's right.
How about I read it?
Now I'm going off of memory, and that's about it.
The Planning and Zoning Committee approves moving forward with the Crenshaw Crossing project. And we support wholeheartedly the effort to make the project 100% affordable, with the caveat that the sycamore grove be protected during construction and preserved as a part of the project.
Correct. So I'm gonna post that right now, and you'll see that I added in a bracket the usual that we recommend to the governing board. So this was the motion, but I added in a bracket the words we didn't use last night, recommends to the governing board. So the Planning and Zoning Committee recommends to the governing board that it approves moving forward.
Which is basically writing, as Laura said earlier, a resolution and a CIS to the city expressing our position on the project. So that said, the first hand up I saw was Grace Yu. So Grace, if you want to please say your comment.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen and Scott. And I really appreciated the colorful visuals, made it easy to follow along. I'm really curious about the girth of the tree that will be replacing the sycamores. I know we're talking about 4:1, but we were talking about trees that were, trunks that were huge. So what?
I'll answer that for you. The girth is 33 inches DBH, which is the diameter at breast height. That is the standard that the city forester and the community forest advisory committee uses when they're discussing trees. So they have a girth of 33 inches at breast height.
And that is, and so that is what's going to be planted, 12 of these?
Absolutely not. There is no way you can replace these trees. There's, well, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand.
So the question I think is to the applicant, what size tree will be planted? Trees will be planted to be the replacement trees, or generally what size tree are going to be replanted? I'm specifically.
Right. So I heard that we're going to have 134 trees. When I heard the 4:1, we were talking about the sycamores. I wanted to hear if it was going to be 12 sycamores. Will there be more sycamores? If Scott, Jen, someone?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott, you're on mute.
Thank you. We haven't determined, how many sycamores. There hasn't been a formal planting plan. Certainly sycamores are a tree we're a fan of and want to see included in the plan. We've not determined sizes or, where and what species go. More specifically, I've put on the screen here from the tree report, the 3 trees in question. One is made up of 2 trunks of 22 and 29 respectively. One is a 26 and one is a 14.5. Also important to note, part of the reason that B and B- rating, there is a lot of leaning of the existing trunks. There is also evidence of the sycamore borer, which is something that affects sycamores at large and is a reason for concern. So just to put some additional context to that. Again, we don't know yet sort of what trees will go where. The plan is not advanced at this point in time in the process, but it's certainly something that will evolve over time.
My biggest and to follow up on this, my biggest concern when we plant new trees is that can we have a commitment that these trees will be watered and taken care of so that they actually grow and mature and don't die? You may end up planting 134 where, half of them die is what I've noticed in the city of Los Angeles.
I completely agree with you. Trees left up to their own devices in this city are not cared for. But I would also submit that it's in the developer's best interest to keep the trees and the landscape and the property looking in great shape. It's just good business practice, candidly speaking. So the intent is to create a landscape that is, largely native and drought tolerant material so that this can be a landscape that can survive and prosper here.
I would add to that also, Scott, if you wouldn't mind going back to the tree plan.
Sure.
Maybe you could indicate where the trees will be planted on terra firma versus other projects where the challenge is that the trees aren't planted in actual, ground where they grow really well. I think that's one of the benefits of this site is that we actually do have quite a bit of landscaping area where the trees are truly in the ground.
Yeah, it's a great point. And not to get into the weeds, but part of doing a wrap project with residential wrapping the garage, it's not a project like some where the parking garage is below grade and extends under the entire site. So everything along the vacated exposition, in particular through this area here, is all terra firma, as well as the street trees that wrap the site. Similarly, over on site A, everything north of the building up to the metro right-of-way is on terra firma, as well as everything along Victoria, and again, the street trees as well. The trees that are actually on structure would be this group on block B, right here, and this group right here on block A, as well as a few right against the building here.
Great. Thanks. So I'm gonna do my best to call them if I saw them. Teresa. I saw
John, let me jump in first. It is almost 9 o'clock. So I know you know, and so we have a lot of hands raised. Teresa would like to be able to share her screen as well. And if your answer to that, John, is yes, I think we need to give her. I mean, we haven't been serious about this, but
it's not a big deal. Let me, if I could just.
No, go ahead. But Scott, if you would take down your screen share.
Yeah. Actually mentioning that document that Scott just showed, that was the first time we saw that last night at last night's meeting. That was not made available to the UNNC before last night. But before I talk about the importance of saving the sycamores, I would like for Brent Green and to Rob, who's with CD10, a representative with CFAC. It's a Community Forest Advisory Committee. Brent and Robin were both nominated by their council districts and appointed by the mayor. And they have much more knowledge about trees and our community. So before I take up more time on that, I'd like for Brent to talk about this project. Thank you. Go ahead.
Teresa, did you want to share something on your
I
screen?
was going to show some pictures that I took on November 4th, so much more recent than Jen and.
Why don't you do that now so we can now all have I think that would be helpful now, and then we
Okay,
can
thank
move to Brent. So I'll give you.
Can we have Teresa share her screen while Brent begins to speak?
Yes, that would be. I like that. Brent.
Hey, yes. Thank you for having me. Listen, so I'm a resident of the community. I grew up in this community. So I've known the community for 54 years of my life. And, you know, it's nice that the community is evolving and changing. You know, it's interesting that, you know, developers have never really looked at Crenshaw until recently because the property values have gone so high in this whole city. Crenshaw has now become a very hotbed for development, and that's great on some levels, but we need to be careful because quality of life issues like tree canopy and that type of thing need to be considered. And it's important for a lot of reasons. You know, the climate is changing, global warming, heat island effect, where we just don't have enough shade in the communities, and it's just traffic and pollution and heat. So to that point, mature trees are a very important part of this community. We lost over 300 mature trees when Space Shuttle Endeavour was brought through the Crenshaw district, and they literally chopped down mature trees and they replaced those 4 to 1. So 4 trees per every tree that they chop down, but those won't be mature in our lifetime. And, you know, it sounds great to replace, you know, 4 to 1 or 2 to 1 or whatever it is, but this grove of sycamores are a large native species that are right there in that spot, and they're at the northeastern edge of that site, which could be designed around and left intact if there was a consideration. Now, the thing that's interesting, our community has generally not been privy to conversations about preserving trees and that type of thing, but West Side neighborhoods get that. So when the Metro line came down Exposition, they took out a litany of trees, large sycamore trees and other things, and nobody said anything about that. But that same Metro line runs through Cheviot Hills, West LA. All those trees were saved because those neighbors over there had the opportunity to speak on those trees, and we weren't given the opportunity. And even with this particular grove of trees, we just found out and just saw the site plan recently, just I think within the past couple of days, and these trees have been slated for removal now for a while, for a long time. And so I just want to be careful that our community has a say, and that we, you know, understand the value of these mature trees. And I think we should keep these mature trees. And Scott said that they want to do native landscaping. Well, those trees are native trees. So do your native landscaping around the trees and keep the grove of the trees. I think that that's a great benefit to the community. The trees are massive, and little sapling trees are not going to make a difference right away. We'll be waiting for years for those trees to become mature trees. And we've got 3 beautiful sycamore trees. Now, it's interesting. You say that those trees are in.
Taylor, I'm sorry, Brent, I'm going to cut you off there. If I may, I want to keep it limited because of just the time. So if you could summarize, please. So
I think that we should keep the trees. They're a B-. If they're B- rating, that's still a very healthy tree, and I think that we should keep it. And the pictures that you showed a picture in the spring when the tree was green, then you showed a picture in the fall when the tree loses its leaves. Of course, they look different, but that's a healthy tree, and I think that we should, as a community, vote to keep those trees and have the developer work his development around those trees. They're important to the community.
Thank you, Brent. Next hand I saw was Taylor.
Yeah, but Teresa had requested that Robin go next, if that's okay, and then we go back to our board members.
Gosh, I think
I'm fine with it. Also, Dorit had her hand up before me too. So.
Okay.
I'll be able to speak.
I'm cool with Robin going first, but I do not want you to overlook Tyler and myself.
Okay, Robin, you would be next after Taylor and Dorit, so please go ahead. They ceded the floor to you.
I appreciate that. I just want to echo a lot of what Brent is saying, and I guess what we heard yesterday at yesterday evening's meeting. These trees are protected trees, and they exist in a neighborhood that is part of a larger community that's already facing environmental justice issues. City of LA has a slate of priorities related to climate change and kind of trying to get ahead of the curve and do things from enhancing tree canopy and reducing heat that we're experiencing as a result of climate change. And it just seems like an unnecessary move. I think part of what we heard last night was that this was a decision that was made based on design calculations, which I can appreciate, but there doesn't seem to be any urgency or mandate to remove these trees. These are viable trees. I heard that they were rated B or B minus. I mean, we're not talking about these trees in terms of their aesthetic qualities, although they're gorgeous, but they're viable. And there's no reason to replace them with trees that just will not achieve the same maturity, scale, canopy in our lifetimes. Those trees are decades old. So I think the conversation really needs to move to a place of preserving these trees. And I think for the developer and for the team at large, it's a wonderful opportunity to say that you're bringing a project to the community that's providing affordable housing and thinking forward in terms of being environmentally friendly and thinking about our climate and the communities that are most adversely affected by environmental justice issues. And so preserving something like this is really a testament to the project. It's not an obstacle. And I would love to see us be innovative and really accommodate these trees in the design. There's no reason to sacrifice them or to sacrifice the affordable housing element to preserve these trees. I think it's a win-win. So all it requires is some will and some innovation. And I don't think it's impossible.
Great. Thank you, Robin. Dorit.
Thank you, everyone. I want to talk about the affordable housing part of it. I'm over the moon that it's going to be 400 units of affordable housing. This is awesome. I have a question though. Will the rent be adjusted based on a person's income, not just set like 30, set rents, but like 30% of someone's income? And if not, will you be accepting housing vouchers? Thank you.
The rent will be set based on the AMI rents that correspond to the incomes. So it's not going to be 30% of someone's specific, each individual's income. It will be set based on what the rent schedule for the city and for HUD sets forth as the equivalent rent for incomes falling within a certain band. So between 30 and 50% of AMI and 50 to 80% of AMI. But we will be accepting voucher tenants.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dorit. Taylor.
Thanks for coming again. I know you guys have presented us a bunch of times by now. Well, so and you've heard me talk before too, and I so as you know, I think this site is a crazy opportunity for Los Angeles. This is one of the this neighborhood is becoming a high opportunity neighborhood. This intersection is going to be the best intersection for public transportation in Los Angeles outside of downtown. It's an incredible opportunity. And you may have seen in the LA Times, they published a poll yesterday. They polled Angelenos on their biggest issues. And number one, of course, was housing. Then after that is traffic. This is unsurprising. Anyone who's been in LA for 5 minutes knows that the biggest issues are housing, traffic. The number three, of course, is pollution. So if we want to actually fix these problems that we all agree, 90% of people in LA think housing, traffic, pollution are our biggest issues, actually make a dent in that issue. We could build a lot of housing, we could build it on top of a transit center and have people stop using their cars and actually get people into homes. So I find this particular proposal, as you know, crazy disappointing. It's so small. It's 400 units. It has a ton of parking. It should be 30 stories and there should be no parking. And that's the kind of thing that LA needs. I think, in some ways that the ship has sailed on this and we're going to get a disappointing project. So my question to you is, what was the blocker here? Why couldn't we build something bigger? Why couldn't we build something with less parking? Why couldn't we build something that was going to fix our problems? What was the blocker for you? And then how can us as community members, as neighborhood council members, as advocates, people that care, how can we do a better job pushing for better projects so that we can actually get something that moves the needle next time?
Well, I couldn't agree more with your comments on density. I agree. I think it's a hugely wasted opportunity that there aren't 2 high-rise towers at this location. This project was 600 units when we proposed it and responded to the RFP. What happened was the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills Lamert specific plan was passed shortly after we won the RFP, and there are height limits that were imposed upon the project. As a matter of fact, we were asking for a variance to go 10 feet above the height limit, and that really constrained it. It's an unfortunate component of it. And as far as the parking goes, there's vehement opposition from the immediately adjacent neighborhood, Crenshaw Manor, to reducing the parking. And I know there's been a lot of back and forth and tension between, you know, the two camps of, well, we don't want people parking in our neighborhood if there's not enough parking at the property, and the people who see this as, this is the most transit network location in the city. Why should there be any parking? I very much understand that stance as well. And that's really the narrative behind this whole project. There's a lot of tension between what different people find very important. And so all I can say is I don't disagree with you, Taylor. And we had to adhere to a number of constraints and priorities within different areas of the community.
To summarize, it sounds like what you're saying. So we have a poll, a representative poll, where 90% of Angelinas are in firm agreement that we need more housing, less traffic, and less pollution. And it sounds like what you're saying is a small group of activists have co-opted this process and are preventing LA from actually fixing its problems.
I'm going to say, as a point of, so we don't debate, that's something that's speculative or rhetorical. Point of information, the right side of this project is in UNNC, the left side is in another neighborhood council. So they've had their own process and their own neighborhood council meetings and their own advocacy. And this is what came of the project based on listening to both sides.
Yeah,
So,
and John, if I may jump in, there's a third neighborhood council involved as well, because the area to the immediate southeast is a different neighborhood council. So this is within our footprint, but the impact on residents is on the southeast is North Lamar Park, not our neighborhood council.
The next hand I saw was Chris's. I believe that was you were next, Chris.
Thank you. I wanted to ask, in the basic elements of the plan, was there ever the exploration to try to keep and work around the trees? Or does any attempt at that sacrifice too much of the housing aspect that can be produced on the site, given the height restrictions and other specific plan restrictions on that site? Can you fill us in?
Sure. We actually had an all hands meeting this afternoon in response to last night's feedback regarding the trees. And we went back and looked at other configurations that we had of the site. And it's actually less the units that are the driving force, although we've tried to maximize the amount of units within all of the different conditions that are imposed on the site. It's the grocer. The grocer location and the grocer footprint had to be on that site. And it was a major condition of delivering this project that it have a grocer because of the food desert. And there was no way we could configure and keep a grocer footprint that was actually leasable. Grocers are very particular about the configuration of their space. And in the different configurations that we looked at, that we had studied, it always contemplated having the grocer on that corner and expanding out to Crenshaw. And so it was studied, we went back and confirmed it, and it would have had to sacrifice one of the key components that we were asked to deliver of this project.
Okay, thanks.
If I could just add one thing to what Jen was saying. The other key important piece to remember is we have metro infrastructure occupying a swath on the east side of Crenshaw as a limiting factor, can't build over that. And then on the east side, there's an existing DWP enclosure that is in fact growing, and moving DWP's stuff takes an act of God, as many might know. So that is a fixed element that is growing to support the metro infrastructure, certainly our project as well as other property owners. So we have these two things that really then limit the envelope that we can operate in. And the team really focused on making that footprint as tight and as compact as possible so that we could leave that space on the north side as open as we could.
Great, thank you. Dolores.
I wanted to know You said the trees were rated as a B minus, I think you said. I want to know what that means in terms of viability for the trees. Can the trees be rehabilitated? And were the trees evaluated by the city's urban forestry department?
Let me just say, the trees, to answer the second part, the trees will be evaluated by urban forestry when it gets to the planning. That is when they will receive the documentation and they will come out and review it. And regarding the first question, Scott and Jen may want to answer it, but Brent is an authority on trees in general, so he could probably answer that more accurately.
What authority?
On the viability.
What authority does Brent have to?
He's a horticulturalist.
Teresa, one moment. So I think that Dolores, where's your question directed? There's a tree report. And so I'm not sure who is the best person, the group that presented the tree report, or who do you want to answer that question?
Whoever is the most experienced with the trees.
Okay.
I am a horticulturist. I operate a landscape design firm for the past 30 years and studied at Cal Poly in arboriculture and horticulture. A B minus rating on a tree is not a bad rating. It's like getting a B minus on a test. I mean, if there were an F rating, then that tree may be a problem for failure or death, but a B minus rating is fine. That tree may need some water, some nutrients, but that tree is a very viable, healthy tree.
So then the tree can be rehabilitated then?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Rosie.
Hello, this is like a general, not a necessary question, just a statement. I thank them for always coming to the community. Many times they have been presenting. I've been to just about every last one that they had. I thank them for listening to the community. A lot of people who do not live over here in Jefferson Park or this area like to say, this is how it's supposed to be, but you don't live here. So the neighbors did have a concern regarding the parking because there's several other things being built, office buildings all around the Sweet Greens and CIM, everything that's going to take up a lot of parking, a lot of congestion. So we do have a valid point about our parking situation. If you want to have a 40, 50, 60 feet tall building, leave that to downtown LA. We are still a neighborhood of neighbors and don't want to have tall buildings looking down on us in our neighborhoods, taking all our sunshine. So I appreciate them listening, making it less apartments, and listening to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thanks, Rosie. Raheem.
Hey, I just have a question about the subsidy that you mentioned that you're seeking from the city. I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about like how how feasible you think getting that subsidy is going to be in order to make it 100% affordable, and then if you're able to also tell us the amount of the subsidy you're seeking.
So we're asking for project-based vouchers for the property, 100 project-based vouchers. It's a competitive process. We think we are a good candidate for this project because it is in a community where there has been a lot of vocal support for providing more affordable housing, and particularly a range of affordable housing at different income levels. It's transit-oriented development. It's got mixed use. I mean, this project has everything that you would want to see in transformational public-private project as far as the scoring criteria goes for being awarded these types of incentives. So we won't know until January. We're working with the city to, do everything we can to position ourselves well, but it is a competitive process.
Got it. And just so I understand, sorry. So the subsidy is not like a chunk of money then. It's like it's how does this subsidy work in this case?
So project-based vouchers pay for the rent on behalf of the tenants. So they pay the difference between what the tenant can afford to pay. And these are always allocated to people who make at the very lowest income bracket So this is extremely low income tenants, 30% of AMI all the way down to 0. And those tenants pay 30% of what they make. So really, truly what they can afford. And then the vouchers are provided subsidies by the federal government that pay the difference between what the tenant can pay and what a market rent is. And so the way this helps this project become more financially feasible is that you get that increased rent, and therefore you can get a bigger loan, and that loan helps finance the project.
Great, thank you. Finally, the last hand, and this will be our last one because we are out of time. Teresa, some final comments.
Very much, John. I just want everybody to know that the city of Los Angeles has 4 types of protected trees, and the sycamores are one. Yesterday, when we brought this to the attention, Metro was on the call. Metro said, we had no idea that there was so much concern and advocacy for the trees. We're willing to look into moving our utility and transformer boxes to accommodate the trees. There's no way 65-foot trees can be replaced. No matter how many trees they want to bring in, they cannot replace a 65-foot grove of trees. The only way you can get trees that tall are trees that have lived a long time, and we need to respect our community, understand that we need to have shade for our community, we need to have green space, and we need to allow these trees to survive. And we should really demand that the Crenshaw Crossing respect that and include these trees in their project. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. So we have a motion that was passed last night as a recommendation to the board. It's a kind of a bifurcated motion, so I'll read it again. Planning and Zoning Committee recommends to the governing board to approve moving forward with the Crenshaw Crossing project, and we support wholeheartedly the effort to make the project 100% affordable, with the caveat that the Sycamore Grove be protected during construction and preserved as part of the project. Kind of linking trees with affordability. So I think that's a little complicated. So I would, if anyone, this is the motion, if anyone wants to suggest either go with this one, Laura, you had some opinions on what to do with this kind of complicated motion.
My opinion was, thank you, that we do 2 separate motions.
Thank you.
That we do a project motion, and again, with a caveat that, and it was June 27th, not July. We did approve the project already. We've already gone on the record with testimony at a July 7. The project in concept with its dimensions and the number of units was already voted on. That doesn't mean we can't change it, but my feeling is the motion we came up with at Planning and Zoning is specific to the hearing on December 16. But in terms of accomplishing 100% affordability, that financing needs to be in place. So a second motion could be that we also write a letter separate to LA City Council, the Board of Supervisors, the Metro Board, the Joint Development, Metro Joint Development, all of them, and just say, we strongly, strongly advocate that those funds be identified and made available to this project to make it, to accomplish the 100% affordability. I mean, I think it's just 2 different things, because the goal is laudable. If the funds don't get assigned to this project, that won't happen. The funding for affordability is just extremely complicated. So that is not what we took up yesterday. So that would not be a motion from Planning and Zoning. I'd be happy after we deal with the first motion, that's a thumbs up or down, to make that second motion personally.
Okay. So that's the motion. Laura, did
no, not the, what I just said is not the motion.
no, I understand. I'm sorry. The motion, the motion that we have in the chat, which I read,
yes,
that is the motion from the Planning and Zoning Committee.
Correct. So either you or I make it.
If you could, that would be great.
Okay, Laura makes it. Moved by Laura, but the second must be somebody who's not John or Laura.
I will second the motion. Could we post it again?
It's in the everyone chat.
Yeah, but
could we post it again?
At the bottom.
Sure. I don't know where it is. I will go back. It's fine. I can find it.
I have it. I'm way ahead of you.
It's up there
Okay.
somewhere.
So
Closer
sorry.
at the bottom.
But remember that we have to add the language about, yeah, that it's a resolution and CIS for the planning commission.
Okay, so is that a friendly motion amendment to your own motion, Laura?
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a,
I,
wait a minute. I thought, wait a minute. You said two things. One, the motion that's presented, that is what we're looking at.
okay, so I'm going to read it out loud. Planning and Zoning
I wasn't
Committee
finished.
recommends to the governing board, that's the brackets, that it approves moving forward with the Crenshaw Crossing project, and we support wholeheartedly the effort to make the project 100% affordable, semicolon, with the caveat that the Sycamore Grove be protected during construction and preserved as a part of the project. This is a resolution and CIS to the Planning Commission. So it's way up in the chat, but that was what I posted in the chat. The only part of that, the two parts that were not in the actual motion last night was the part in the bracket about recommend to the governing board and that it's a CIS and resolution.
Okay, so that is the motion. We have a second by Greg Jackson.
Mhm.
Any discussion about the motion? Hearing none.
Oh, my hand should not be up, sorry.
Hearing none, I think we can call the vote.
Okay, Jasmine Johnson.
Abstain.
Jasmine.
Wait, I did have, you didn't answer my question, John.
What was your question?
I put it in the chat. What was the position of the other two neighborhood councils that were involved in this project?
Jen, can you answer that?
Can we take that while we're in the middle of a vote?
No.
Yeah.
No, because I was muted and I couldn't get it before you started calling it.
John, do you want to answer Dolores's, or what do you want to do?
Sure. Jen, can you answer that, please?
Sure. So West Adams Neighborhood Council, and I don't recall it verbatim, but they made a motion to support the project conditioned upon it being 100% affordable. The other neighborhood council.
Empowerment Congress West.
West, correct. My understanding is they will follow the lead of, and Laura, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it sounded like they felt like they were the least sort of
affected,
I guess, associated neighborhood council with this project and would follow the lead of the other two councils.
Great, thank you. Okay, we have called the vote. No more discussion. That is the policy. Once the vote is called, we have to turn it off. We had an exception there because a potential technical glitch. Okay, call the vote, please, Teresa.
Okay, if everybody could unmute, that would be helpful. Jasmine is abstain. Dorit.
Yes.
Dorit is a yes. Dolores.
Can you come back to me?
Okay. Raheem.
Yes.
Raheem is a yes. Taylor.
Yes.
Taylor's a yes. Charlie.
Yes.
Charlie's a yes. Paul.
Yes.
Paul's a yes. Carlos is absent. Laura.
Yes.
Laura's a yes. Paula.
Yes.
Paula's a yes. Grace. Grace.
Yes.
Grace is a yes. Lolita.
Yes.
Lolita's a yes. Dennis.
Yes.
Dennis is a yes. Teresa is a yes. Michael is absent. Chris? Chris?
Yeah.
I'll come back to you. Greg?
Come back to me, please.
Okay,
Yes.
Greg? Greg is a
Yes.
yes. Nancy is absent. Sarah is absent. Lizzie?
Yes.
Lizzie's a yes. John?
Abstain.
John is abstaining. Sarah is ineligible. Corinne is ineligible. Dolores?
I'm going to abstain also.
Dolores is abstaining, and Chris?
I feel I have to abstain because the way the motion has been bifurcated.
Okay. So the motion passes.
Okay, so John, I would like to make a second motion.
Okay, please do.
And the second motion would be that the UNNC Governing Board write a letter to the Los Angeles City Council, to the board, LA Board of Supervisors,
Right.
to the Metro Board and to the Metro Joint Development Team, strongly urging that each of those entities identify and approve funds to make this project 100% affordable, but in the ratios as described by the developer. So not very low income, but the range of affordability, including what we UNNC call the missing middle, which is that 80%, 50% to 80% AMI.
So can you repeat that? I got the first half and then I lost my typing.
I can mostly repeat it, that we urge those entities to identify
Okay.
and approve the funds needed to make this project 100% affordable, but in the categories as identified by the developer. So to spread it to include moderate income, or what UNNC calls the missing middle.
Okay, got it. Post that in 2 seconds.
Could I ask a clarifying question, please? Didn't the developer say it was going to be up to 50% medium income? And Laura just said 80%.
Yeah, so whatever the developer laid out.
It was 30, 50, and 80.
It was 30, 50, and 80?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Yes.
Silly me. Thank you for clarifying.
So that's my motion, and it is not a motion from the Planning and Zoning Committee, it's from me personally.
Okay, I just posted it in the chat.
Even though Laura made the motion, it still needs a second.
I second it, Chris Carlson.
Okay.
I have a
Any-
I have a
any-
protocol concern about that. About I know the topic is on our agenda, but a new motion
Yeah.
in that area. I'm concerned that if we're authorized to do that.
Greg, we are, because it could have been combined with the first motion. It's just too complicated.
Yeah, but saying it could have I don't have some concerns about it. Yes.
I think the whole point of being able to discuss things at the board allows us the ability to sometimes alter, craft, or amend a motion. And so by adding a supporting motion, I don't think that violates our ability to govern and represent our community.
Grace, do you have a comment on that?
I was just going to echo what Chris was saying, because this was already noticed on the agenda. The fact that we've changed or editing is allowed.
I'm going to agree with that. So that's the motion, second by Chris Carlson. Any further discussion about the motion itself? Hearing none, I call the vote.
Okay, if everyone could please unmute. Jasmine Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you. Dorit.
Yes.
Dolores Spears.
Yes.
Thank you. Raheem.
Yes.
Thank you. Taylor.
Yes.
Charlie.
Yes.
Thank you. Paul.
Yes.
Laura.
Yes.
Paula.
Yes.
Grace.
Yes.
Lolita.
Yes.
Dennis.
Yes.
Teresa is a yes. Chris.
Yes.
Greg.
Abstain.
Greg abstains. Lizzie.
Yes.
John.
Yes.
And Sarah and Karine are ineligible. The motion passes.
Okay, thanks. So we're going to move on to the next items. I'll make them as quick as possible. Thank you, Crenshaw Crossing team, and good luck with the hearings coming up this month.
Okay, so John, the next item would be Taylor, and I am looking for I'm finding it. So Taylor, do you want to be a co-host and be sharing your screen? How do you want to do this?
I could do that, or you could just
Share the
it.
screen. I'll share it.
Yeah,
then.
if you have it up, it's in the.
I don't yet, but I can easily. Okay. So if you'll chat while I look for it, I mean, I have it here, but
Yeah, so this is pretty simple. Hope it's only a 2-page document. Hopefully everybody got a chance to read it before the meeting because it was in the packet. But it's just a couple months ago we voted to create a subcommittee on mobility and transportation, and all committees have a mission statement. So this is the mission statement. It's kind of long. So at the very bottom, there's a 1 or 2 sentence mission statement at Teresa's recommendation to actually put on the website. Why don't we just jump actually to the summary for the website?
can you see this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So this is the 2-sentence summary, acts as a forum and advocacy group for issues related to mobility and transportation, and tends to advocate for changes to mobility and transit programs that promote safety, equity, accessibility, sustainability, and livability. So these are the 5 pillars. And I think that's about it.
Right. So
Wait.
Here. So I like the values.
Yeah. So when I was coming up with this, I instead of putting down specific things that we might get into, there's like 1,000 things we might cover. Add a stop sign here, add a stoplight there, 1 hour parking on Adams, 1 hour parking on Washington. Like we've talked about things tonight already. I thought it was more important to talk about what are the goals? What are we trying to do when we talk about any specific issue related to transportation? What's the point? And I think that's what I was trying to get at here with the values. And I appreciate all the input. Jasmine, Teresa, John, Laura, all gave a lot of input on this. So I appreciate everyone's thoughts.
Okay, any questions, comments? Lizzie?
Lizzie.
Okay, let's go.
Sorry. No, it's
Thumbs up, too late. Too late.
So congratulations on a very fine mission statement. My pet peeve is that apostrophe on the it. So please.
Oh my, yeah. Let's fix that. If there's a typo.
Where is that?
It's even.
All right, never come on. Let's not spend any time on that. You know it. Let's move on.
It's in the paragraph after
Never
that.
mind.
I see it. I see it.
Uh-oh.
Fixed.
Word found it too. It got underlined. Okay.
Now it's perfect.
Thanks, Lizzie.
Next.
Oh, sorry, Paula.
I just wanted to make a motion that we adopt this statement.
Thank you, Lolita.
I just have a question, and forgive me if I'm missing this. Is this also part of allowing us to have more bike routes is this part of that as well?
So, John, can I
Yeah, I was calling you.
Okay, great. So this is just a mission statement for this new committee that was created. So it's brand new. I think we did this in June or July. So sometimes this year we wrote this in October. But there's no really specific issues that we talked about here. So no specific discussion of bike lanes. I would say that in my opinion, if we go back to values and you say should we For example, extend the bike lanes on Adams that end at Crenshaw. Should we extend them another few blocks? You might say, well, does that make things safer? Does it make it more equitable? Does it make it more accessible? Does it make it more sustainable? And does it make the area more livable? I would say, well, yeah, it probably does all of those. So bike lanes, I think, fit in very nicely to into this value statement. I'm personally a big fan, but I don't want to, I didn't want to really talk about any specific projects in a mission statement.
Okay, I understand. Okay, I just wanted to just get a little more clarity on it because I'm just seeing like Metro and Caltrans. So I just wanted to get some understanding as to perhaps maybe that could be something part of livability. So that's why I just needed some clarity. Thank you.
And we've had a motion, but we don't yet have a second.
Second it.
Now we do. I don't know who did it, but I heard a second.
It was Greg.
Okay. So also, Lolita, I just want to answer for anybody who's new. Our committees are required to have mission statements. So we went through the exercise of updating most of them about a year ago. But as we're creating new committees or subcommittees, they're challenged to create new mission statements. So, and then we kind of then take the committee forward they create their own agendas and they put items on the agendas and they have those discussions. And I think Taylor's gonna have an awful lot because just in this short time, I can't think of how many emails I've had to forward to him from this, that, or the other entity. So it incorporates bus shelters now. I mean, there's just a lot going on with mobility and transportation. So.
Okay, that's the only part that in the mission statement,
Yeah.
I just felt like I didn't see anything about bike lanes, and
yeah,
that's the major conversation that's going on as well. But I understand. Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Any other questions, comments?
So it's been moved and seconded to approve this as presented with the exception of that apostrophe. That's now repaired, that's now fixed.
Woohoo! Okay, call the question.
Okay. Jasmine,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Dolores,
Yes.
Raheem,
Yep.
Taylor,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes, and thank you, Taylor.
Grace,
Yes.
Lolita,
Yes.
Dennis,
Yes.
Teresa's a yes, Chris,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
John,
Yes,
and Sarah is ineligible and Karine is ineligible.
I'm thanks. Okay, moving on, I'm gonna make these as fast as possible. SB 9 is the law passed up in Sacramento in October that basically lets any single family home that's specifically not in a historic district, which is very limited in our UNNC footprint, to divide their lot with certain parameters and produce 2 units, a primary unit and ADU on those 2 lots. So basically any single family lot could become 4 units on a single family zoned R1 in the city of LA. And in the state of California, that is a state law. We can't rebut that. What the city can do is provide an ordinance that supports that law, and they can't do anything less than that law states. So we have a motion. We have a motion to recommend to the city that they adopt SB 9 as written with 2 caveats. And one of those is to, oh my gosh, I had it in front of me. And
I'm about to post it.
Thank you very much. Basically, this came from, there's a resolution running around all the neighborhood councils getting people on board to sign on to a number of items, which at planning and zoning we declined to because we didn't feel like they were to the benefit of UNNC residents. We thought they were restrictive. One of them required an affordability component, which we thought, though it sounds great, it basically would disallow a homeowner, like some of us are, to take advantage of the law fully. So we thought this benefited rich people who don't have to rely on those rents to make the investment that they make pay off. So we thought the affordability thing was a move to disallow some people to not take advantage of this because they could not make the income that they could normally if it was just market rate. So we thought that was a wolf in sheep's clothing, as it were. And there's a couple other things they wanted to restrict it to away from hillside areas, horse farms, and all these other things that all sounded like, I'll put it in my own words, that all sounded like NIMBYs to me. It was wealthy people trying to say, no, not us. And then there was one other thing to add additional fees, which we also thought was a move to restrict the ability of people of lesser means to take advantage of this law and really develop their properties to a way that suits them. We also discussed pretty extensively that we don't have a lot of, and historic districts are excluded from the law. We don't have a lot of R1 that's not in historic district UNNC. However, we do have some areas that are in character overlay zones that are HPOZ or historic zone adjacent that we thought should be added specifically because of how we're configured and the promises that the planning department has made some of our neighborhoods to not have tear downs in the name of this law, but to accommodate it in a way that preserves the character of our neighborhoods. So Laura, did you post that?
I did post it. And so specifically, this again is sort of bureaucratic nuance that we're recommending as our position. So it's what we're saying is, in addition to the historic districts, it's the consideration of character residential overlay districts or other city council adopted zones and districts with development standards and or design criteria that would maintain the character of the districts and historic structures while still accommodating new units with ministerial review and providing guidelines for the timing of the reviews and approval. So the point here was that the city made promises to people in our community and frankly throughout South LA. There are 11 character residential overlay districts, as well as several legacy single family districts. That's their names, legacy single family overlays. And all of those communities were told, we don't have the staff to adopt new HPOZs, which is historic preservation overlay zones, but we're going to treat you like an HPOZ. We're going to use Secretary of Interior standards to review projects. We're going to create development standards where you can't combine lots. You know, you have to retain the setbacks and front yard setbacks of the adjacent neighborhoods. And if you'll agree to this, it will streamline our efforts on the staff level, but you'll still have the protection. So they weren't anticipating that the word historic district would be in some legislation a little farther down the road. So since they told those communities, and again, it's probably 14 or 15 communities, including Arlington Heights and Angeles Vista, that they would be treated as if they are HPOZs, we think they should try to carve it out in their SB 9 enabling ordinance that they're supposed to be working on right now, but we don't know if they are. They do have the ability to do so. So that's our recommendation. The reason we set it as a resolution or file a CIS is because I haven't yet done a council motion on this. So there's no CIS that can be filed until there's a council motion.
So hand up from Dorit.
John, you really explained very well why the committee chose not to include affordable housing. and I completely understand that, but I must say that I think we should have it. Say that at least one of the units has to be affordable at maybe 90%, 80 or 90%. But I think we have to fight for affordable housing. This NC fights probably more than almost any other NC that I've ever been associated with, but I think we need to keep fighting for it citywide by including affordable housing, a mandate for affordable housing in our CIS that we're writing. Thank you.
Great, thanks, Dorit. Taylor?
So I mostly just want to say thanks, John. I didn't go to the thing last night, but I appreciate you pushing back against this, what seems to me like a pretty craven attempt by the Richard Close and the Sherman Oaks Owners Association. So
You think?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty blatant. So I'm glad that you saw through Richard's weird attempt here and pushed back on it. What I think is obviously happening, and a lot of us realize, is that neighborhoods like Sherman Oaks and Rancho Park and Venice and Holmby Hills are not building enough housing, and their rich white residents are getting pushed out and moving into places like ours, and our home prices are tripling, which is great for people that own homes, but for people that want to move here, for people who aren't super rich, they just can't. So I really appreciate what you've done. I think I'm a good example of this. I moved from Venice. My household, we make like over $400,000 a year. Couldn't afford a house in Venice. This is the place that we could afford. So genuinely wealthy people are being pushed into neighborhoods like ours, and Sherman Oaks and Venice and Rancho Park, all these places need to do more to build all this housing. And I appreciate the idea of requiring more affordable housing, but places like the rich neighborhoods need to build housing for rich people. I think that's the big issue that we have. That's where the housing shortage is coming from. We have this trickle down effect. So I really love the motion as is, and I appreciate the work that you guys put into it.
Thanks. Any other comments, questions? So we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
We don't have a second. So, and John, who made this motion, you or me?
I'll do this. This is my guy.
So John moves,
I'll second.
Okay.
Any,
Taylor seconds.
Any further comments about the motion that was been made? Okay, hearing none, I call the vote.
I'm sorry.
All right, Grace.
Yes. I heard you and I listened, but can someone just in a nutshell, like 2 sentences, tell me what this is gonna do?
In our neighborhood, I don't think it's gonna, the statewide or at UNNC?
For UNNC, the motion that we're passing.
It does nothing but says we support accepting SB 9 as written. We can't restrict it, but we can add layers to it, like an affordability layer. And we were just putting our support in to approve SB 9 as approved by Sacramento, with the added consideration that character overlay zones, such as we have in South LA, are also considered with, and not to restrict units, but to have a design overlay with design guidelines in those areas. And that's the capital and at the end, to make sure that these are processed in a timely way. We were supportive of our neighbors and homeowners to be able to take advantage of this law, build their wealth on their lots, and do it in a way that doesn't restrict, in a way that some of the other neighborhoods are trying to get through.
Let me try a different nutshell, Grace. We have some R1 zones that are not HPOZ, not a lot, but they would be, but they at the moment have development overlays and design overlays. And they were told, people were told that they'd be treated as if they were a historic district. In other words, a HPOZ light. So the city should stick to what it promised, basically.
So that
I mean, it may only cover for us 7 or 8 blocks, but there are other parts of South LA, if the city council would do this, where it would be entire neighborhoods that I mean, you know, now it changes from neighborhood to neighborhood. And I feel that for equity, I mean, they should do what they promised.
Okay, Chris, last comment, please.
John, correct me if I'm wrong. Already, the state has passed a statewide ADU ordinance that allows up to an ADU and a junior ADU, and that applies to historic districts as
Correct.
well. Is that correct?
Correct.
So this is another layer, and because of our HPOZ districts might not impact a lot of UNNC, but nonetheless, the existing ADU ordinance from the state allows homeowners to build additional units, and they primarily fall in the more affordability because they're smaller. So this is
Yeah, this is different, Chris. This allows a person to take their 50 by 150 lot and divide it into two to make two. So there's still single family lots, or they're a single family lot with another ADU. So that's why it can be up to 4. So this is different. But if we just look at these overlay districts that have been adopted, you could not divide your lots by right because they're character overlay. So that's where we're trying to say, treat them the same as the other exempted historic districts. Just declare them what you said they were, if you want to be blunt. You said they're historic districts, declare them historic districts. But that's not exactly what our motion is, because our motion is a little more technical.
So the SB 10 and 9 actually not only allow for the building of the units, but the actual splitting of the lot.
Yeah, so
SB 10 is different.
Okay.
Yeah, SB 10 is different. We're just dealing with SB 9.
Thank you.
And then Grace has another question, and then we really have to move
We
on.
really have to go. We are already 20 minutes.
I'm just trying to figure out, no, I understood this motion and it sounds, like a smart move, but, to Dorit's position that why can't we add something in it to encourage more affordable ADU rental rates? Or is it, if we're asking for something, why can't we ask for something that will also give, consideration and allow for it, for the affordable?
We felt it was restrictive to the people who say someone's investing a real lot of money, their taxes go up because they get reassessed for 4 units instead of 1. And that would just be an extra burden, especially with people who have fewer means.
So John, I'm actually not disagreeing with you, but I'm saying, couldn't we get creative and come up with a solution that could allow for, a benefit that comes along with it and encourage it, just like, the city will be giving funding for, the Crenshaw Crossing.
Okay,
Why
so
couldn't?
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you on that. So I think that the options we have are to approve as recommended, or bring this back, table it, and bring it back to the, if we want to craft legislation that I'm sure Sacramento spent hundreds of hours trying to do and didn't come up with anything that they could do for affordable housing. I'm not sure, if you're confident we can do something and come up with an idea, I suggest we table this tonight. If that has support from the board, I'm fine with that. I just want to either vote or table.
Right. Yeah. Well, right, because we're looking at the clock as well. Again, just for everybody's FYI, it's clear we're not going to do the standing rules because Nancy is not here. That doesn't mean it's not almost 10 o'clock, but we're not getting to standing rules.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
John, I think, wasn't it that, we were reading comment letters that essentially, if you add a affordability requirement on this one, which by the way, may not be addable, that it would just discourage it completely and people would not be able to do it.
No,
but having said that, I'm agreeing with John. If we don't have consensus on this, we really should table it and bring it back January 6th. Oh, Teresa.
John, are we under any pressure, any time constraints to have this motion?
Yeah,
I
the
think we
city
were,
council
but
is
I think we're
supposed,
not anymore.
yeah, that city council is supposed to have adopted some ordinance by January 1. They're not working on it, however.
Okay, so I recommend that we table it if we're not
Fine.
under any, and
Okay.
take in Grace and Dorit's concerns.
I want everyone who's concerned about affordability to come to planning and zoning the next time, because I don't want
Yes.
to craft legislation. I want
Exactly.
people who, so, yes, okay, so
Not all of us can come.
I'm going to table this and go on to the next item.
So may I suggest strongly on the next item, which does have a time sensitivity, has everyone read the revised CIS? Because again, we had already adopted the position. We just had to, John had to apply really strong scissors to make it shorter.
I had to chop 60% out of it to make it the length of a CIS. So it's basically all the components. I didn't write any new content. I just condensed and removed. And so it's basically what we had before, opposing this, I'm going to use in my humble opinion, harebrained, corrupt attempt to limit the use of wood construction in the city of LA by the concrete industry, which will seriously curtail our ability to produce housing. And just FYI,
Especially affordable housing.
especially affordable, everyone, the AIA, or American Institute of Architects, SCAMP, which is the Southern California Association of Nonprofit Housing, they're all writing letters. They're inundating City Hall to oppose this. So we're jumping on the band, we're piling on with our beautifully crafted CIS to reiterate what everyone else is saying.
Right. It's just that we were unable to file it because it was just too long.
So Taylor.
I'm just, this seems so ridiculous. How come the LA Council has even got to the point that they're considering it?
I don't know, some wheeler dealer. I don't know if they took them out to dinner or what
You see that? You know what this means?
Yep.
So we don't know, but it's just so out there, but everyone is just waking up to it. I'm not
I move.
pessimistic. Okay.
Okay, Grace
we have
moves
we
to
have a
approve
motion
the
by Grace.
CIS.
Dorit.
I was just going to move as well.
Okay, so I'm gonna let you second.
I second Lizzie.
Well, Matt, you thirded it.
Oh, okay, no.
Let's just vote.
Moved by
Okay.
Grace, second by Dorit, and I call the vote if there's no other comments.
Okay, John
Yes.
Arnold.
Yes.
No,
are
go
there
ahead.
any- I'm sorry, was there another comment?
No, go ahead.
Speak now or forever hold your peace, Dolores.
Let's vote.
No, because this is being recorded. I don't want it recorded.
Smart move.
Okay, John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Oh, yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Teresa abstains. Dennis,
Yes.
Lolita,
Yes.
Grace,
Yes.
Paula,
Yes.
thank you. Laura?
Yes.
Yes, I said yes.
No,
We got you.
I said Laura. Okay, Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem,
Abstain.
Dolores,
Yes.
Dorit,
Yes.
Jasmine.
Abstain.
Thank you. Oh, and Sarah is ineligible and Corinne is ineligible. Thank you. Passes.
Thank you. Okay, that's it. Planning and zoning. Let's move on.
Yeah, so we have no follow-up for anything, right, John? Please say yes. Yes, we don't.
We do not.
Okay, Lizzie, item 14, Sick La Via, South Los Angeles update.
Yes. Thank you, everyone who has replied to my numerous requests to help out on Sunday. So Sunday 9 to 3, Ciclavia is coming to town, to our neighborhood. So we still need some people, especially on the 11 to 1 shift and towards the end. We need some help. So please reply to my email. I listed the specific names of who I haven't heard from yet. So please help. At 11 o'clock, if you would like to ride with us, with some of us, we will attempt to ride the route. So please join us. And if I also sent a message to committee chairs and members, if you would like to feature your work, your committee work via a poster board, that would be really great to add some more visuals to our table, and we could hang it on by the tent. So please do so. I'm really excited, especially personally. I'm gonna get to meet some of you in person for the very first time. So that is very exciting, and we can greet our neighbors on Sunday. So, and do some research. And by the way, the new members, Sarah and Corrine, if you would like a t-shirt, and also you're more than welcome to also join us and help out that day. So I guess that's it.
Dorit has her
I just
hand
want
up.
to say a big old thank you to Liz for making this happen. It's going to be the first time I'm going to meet a lot of board members in person as well. And I've been on the board for more than a year now. So yay, great work. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone Sunday.
Right. So one thing is, if any of you have a friend or neighbor in the community who is involved with another nonprofit, SELA, for example, for you, Dorit, during your shift, you can invite your friend. We have 2 tables. So we have sort of a community table and a UNNC table. So it would help us if we had some extra people staffing right in the middle of the day. So the last time around when we were on Venice Boulevard for the Arlington Heights, Harvard Heights cyclovia, we also had 2 tables. So we have West Adams Heritage, and we had West Adams Avenues, and it was several other groups, but it was all helpful to, because there were times when the UNNC table itself wasn't well staffed, but we had other people who we just kind of floated back and forth. So let Lizzie or myself know. Depends how overwhelmed Lizzie is. She'll tell you if she wants to know this or if you should just go ahead and drag someone else out there.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Just come. It's fine. And also, if you would like to ride with your family or friends, bring them over. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
It's really a great opportunity to do some real outreach on Sunday. So please join us.
Right. So we're going to also try to have some of we have material from Dunn, and we're trying to get some material from the planning department on the HPOZs. I mean, the normal stuff. So, but we've also been told by veterans of other cyclovias that most people are not going to pick up material because they're obviously riding their bikes or scootering or skateboarding or, however they're transporting themselves. Okay. Anything else? Moving on.
See you Sunday. Thank you.
Yeah. Dennis Lesky.
Yes.
You're
Let's
next.
talk about,
Do you want to share your screen if I let you? Or do you want me to share?
Put those up for me? Yeah,
I can
if
do
you
that.
Put those up. Yeah.
Okay, go. So you again start talking because I have to open them, but go ahead.
The first one will say emergency, and we're talking about emergency preparedness. I'm your liaison to the Emergency Preparedness Alliance, and we need to put that in context. And this first projection is going to show you that really the basis for us doing this is a document called
Dennis, is that the right one?
I don't have it. Yes, that's the one.
Okay.
Yeah. Resilient Los Angeles. And if you just Google that, you'll find that 91-page plan for disasters for the city that was published in 2018. Okay. There's a lot of reasons for Emergency Preparedness Alliance, but this is pretty much the mandate. If you look under disaster preparedness and recovery, the mandate is to work with all neighborhood councils to develop resilience and preparedness plans. They plan to do that by 2019. We're not there yet. If you look a little further down there, action item 24, part of that is it is essential that every Los Angeles neighborhood has a plan in place to prepare for and recover from an emergency. Okay, so now we see where we're involved. The Emergency Preparedness Alliance, as I say, it's really the Neighborhood Council Emergency Prepared Alliance. It's to gather information and to educate our neighborhood councils about their responsibility. Now, I've got to fess up to you. We've got almost 100 neighborhood councils, but these meetings, I've been to 2. There's only been 2 since I've been appointed. There's about 20 some councils represented. So it's not everybody on board, but a few are doing a decent job. Where do we get the support for all these ideas? It's the Emergency Management Department. They work with city departments, as it's pointed out there in this little projection. The city of Los Angeles cannot be truly prepared without a prepared community, achieved first and foremost with, yes, neighborhood councils. So they've come up with a plan called Ryland, Ready Your LA Neighborhood program to help you. That provides the tools to prepare and organize your neighborhood, our neighborhood. That sounds like a good idea, but we're going to talk about the fact pretty soon that that's not very supported with money. Could you put up the October 23rd meeting now? Thank you.
Sure.
So this is kind of the foundation for a proposal I'm going to make. The neighborhood vulnerability is the concern of this council. As they note in their handouts, we know we're going to run out of electricity, run out of running water, sewage is not going to be working. We know these things. Let's talk about the goals. Individually, you want to prepare water at a minimum for 3 days. That's a gallon per day per person. That's kind of shortchanging everyone. The goal is really 2 weeks readiness with water, food, and what I call miscellaneous, like the medicines, the other materials you need. Okay, that's individual. The neighborhood, that's us, is going to need to develop a communications network. It's going to need leaders. It's going to need some form of emergency preparedness subcommittee. That Ryland program I mentioned, that's a good start. One of the big problems is how to message to the neighborhood. And I put a note on here. What we're talking about among ourselves on the neighborhood council and whatever leaders we come up with on this, these are not CERT members. I'm a CERT team member, Certified Emergency Response Team. I've been one here for about 5 years. I was one in San Francisco. The idea is to help out before those real first responders get there. You can help people trapped in buildings. You can help deal with utilities, help with, triage medical problems. Okay. We're just trying to get people to prepare. The resources, okay. What's available? Resilient Los Angeles, okay, they got a starter. The Ryland plan, okay, that's a good idea. Of the several plans that I've seen as attending the conference, the Alliance, the wireframe is a starter plan. Granada Hills has a plan. There's a few others. They've gotten some good ideas, so we wouldn't have to invent the wheel here. The takeaway is, I see, we need to step up. This action item 24, since we know it is a matter of when, but not if a disaster will strike, it is essential that every Los Angeles neighborhood has a plan in place to prepare for and recover. And that recover, don't forget, you may not be able to live in your home. So you may have to be out there in a tent. You're going to have to include that as part of your planning too. Could you put up the last one, please, Laura? What I found at this last meeting is the Alliance is concerned with the apathy of the public about earthquakes. We've obviously been focused on COVID lately. That's right in our face, literally. But the funding of the Emergency Management Department is the concern. Those ideas about training, about providing materials and support, they're not there. There was a lot of discussion about whether you need candidates for this or staff for that. It's really basically about money and let's get it in there and then use it properly. I'm going to just skim over some of the ideas that we had. The CIS is possible to submit one to show a need for funding. You can overwhelm the city council with demands. I like the idea of demanding candidates, particularly the mayoral candidate, to make a firm commitment. You get them on tape, on TV, you got a good chance of accomplishing something. High density developments was something that didn't occur to me. There's a concern about how vulnerable they are to earthquakes, more vulnerable, and particularly the lack of any storage space. You're not going to be preparing or stockpiling water, food, supplies. as you can in your home or even a larger unit. These are small, they're high density, but small floor space units generally. And you don't have a safe recovery area mostly. I saw that nice plan for a Crenshaw Crossing. They might have enough in that plaza, but most of these units I see going up in my neighborhood, there's no place for you to be residing outside the building. We need approaches to the outreach. By the way, that's something planning and zoning, I suppose, could bring up at the first presentation of a development plan, not at the point you're in Crenshaw Crossing probably, but bring it up at the beginning. We need to get the word out. And so I mentioned a couple of approaches to outreach. One woman was preparing a kit or a list and going to publish that on community websites and social media. I think the idea of distributing that type of document in the schools to be taken home for discussion and follow up or feedback would work. It's worked with other programs. I always think of the program Attacking Smoking. My takeaway here is that we need to do two things, really. We need to initiate funding, however we can get on our pointed stick, as we begin planning. Okay? That's the point. We need to begin planning. So I want to segue this into a discussion. Let's consider what our first steps would be. Okay, we need some form of committee. I'd like to open discussion on whether we want to create a new committee, use the Public Safety Committee, which it isn't doing, I don't think it's really active right now. And in terms of that discussion, which I would like to start in just a moment here, we really want a committee that's going to be formed to investigate some proper plan and bring it to the governing board. This takes a lot of planning, and we might as well get it right at the outset as to what we're going to do. It's kind of like Taylor's mission statement. We better be pretty sure what we want to accomplish because it's going to be a lot of work. So I'd like to open that up with any questions and discussion.
Lizzie has her hand up. Teresa has her hand up.
Okay, if I can respond to them. Lizzie?
Yes, yes, Dennis. Very valid concerns about the need for emergency preparedness. Some of us have in the community have taken the CERT training, which is a 7-week program, but we could add one more program, which just got $1 million grant funding. So it's already funded, and it's it started as a pilot program, but now it's been implemented, and the city of Los Angeles just won this grant. And the program is called the Cool City Blocks. And they work, Teresa?
Sorry, Lizzie. No, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Okay. So this program integrates emergency preparedness within the overall program of working through each block and with 1 or 2 captains. And they also work on making the neighborhood greener. So it is a more comprehensive program. And actually my blog is gonna participate. We did sign up, and so anyway, this is just one more suggestion.
Listen, I was aware of the program, but I didn't realize it could be used that way. And yes, I think when we come up with something, it's going to have to really go right down to the city blocks. Our particular areas should sort of have the equivalent of a captain. So that's great. Thank you.
So it's Teresa, then Grace.
Sorry.
Teresa?
Thank you, Dennis. And sorry, Lizzie, I was not directing those comments to you. Sorry, I should have been on mute. I think that's a great idea, Dennis. As you know, I attend those meetings also, and I have been attending them for several months now. My husband did the Ryland program, and this is one of the things that I advocated for when I ran for representative of the West Adams Avenues. We're very concerned about it here, having being prepared for an earthquake. I had mentioned before about having block captains. And I don't know if you remember when Patrick talked about having emergency boxes with walkie-talkies and having them strategically placed. That is something that we're definitely trying to do in the avenues. And if it could be part of the larger UNNC program, I certainly would love to work on that. And I think having a committee that's focused just on earthquake, particularly earthquake preparedness, I'm all for that.
Great. I need to clarify something. I've been speaking also just to earthquakes. There are far more disasters, but the Resilient Los Angeles plan covers mudslides and wildfires. I think we'd be plenty busy just focusing in our area on earthquakes. So that's my concept. Okay. Grace?
I was just gonna say, Dennis, I'm happy to join this task force, and I've already got ideas and, you know, the old fashioned, those things that truckers use, what are they called?
Walkie-talkies.
Ham radios.
Ham
radio.
radios.
Yes.
If we find the ham radio people in the district, that will be helpful to us because that will work in an emergency situation. And I'm all for this. So
Great.
you've got me on your team.
Thank you. I'm making a note of that. And ham radio people generally are well prepared. And they've got a generator because otherwise we're going to be out of electricity. And your cell phones, you can charge your cell phone, but your tower may be down.
Right, and that's a really good point, Dennis. We probably need to identify community members who have generators. We have a solar powered generator, so if we know who those people are in our community, if something happens, then people will know where they can go to charge their cell phone or get, you know, their laptop charged or whatever. So if the towers are still up. So
if I may just annotate my own discussion here, we are really seeing the need for a network. That's exactly what I think we're going to have to do. And we just have to plan to set it up. Chris?
I wanted to, you talked about the funding, and one of the things that going forward, when we look at what initiatives come out of our neighborhood council to make our area more resilient, we could actually, you know, build something into our own budget, you know, to fund each year to grow the preparedness base. So I think that would be something that our budget could accommodate that would truly benefit our entire area.
I like that idea. I'm going to come up with something revolutionary because everything's in play. What about the neighborhood associations within the UNNC? They have budgets. I know my own has a pretty large budget that gets replenished with filming done in the area. So maybe we could go to the neighborhoods to help them participate in protecting themselves.
Right. We have a couple of other hands up, Dennis, but I do want to do a caveat that it's now 10:16 and we had devoted 10 minutes to this, and perhaps what we need to do is call that special meeting on this topic. I mean, you know, it's not a committee meeting, but that doesn't mean we can't call a meeting on this topic and have a focused discussion to decide where we go. Do we want to activate our supposedly existing but not existing public safety committee and just rewrite its mission statement properly to include public safety, not just law enforcement, right? I mean, in other words, that would be one option. Another would be an ad hoc committee, but that is a little less transparent. Meaning because ad hoc committees can meet privately and regular committees have to meet in more of a public setting. But we should call a meeting that doesn't have a committee title, my opinion. I've lost track. Chris, did you just speak? Because your hand's still up. Or are you next?
Chris, I don't think we heard from Greg.
Chris just spoke, right?
Yes.
So Greg is next. And then we just need to decide how we move forward so we can move forward in this agenda.
Yeah, Dennis, I'll just put you in touch with the people from Western Heights that are working in this area. So you can just have a broader team supporting you and working with you.
Oh, that's great. Please do.
Okay.
Thank you.
Right, but what I'd like to, again, point out, since we're a neighborhood council, we don't have a team. We have a public, transparent process usually. So we cannot appoint a committee tonight.
Committee, which gives a lot of flexibility. People can talk and we can work out the plans and then bring it back to the board.
Yes, exactly.
So maybe, Dennis, how do you feel about an ad hoc committee?
I think it's a transition, as long as it fits with our structure. Yes, exactly.
Oh yeah, we could do that if we want. So here's a difference, folks. An ad hoc committee is short-term and focused?
Well, let me just say, I just did module 3, Laura, and it can be up to a year. It does have to
Right.
have, it should have an end date. So when you say short term, it's not like a month. It can be,
Oh, right.
you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it does
yeah,
have to
yeah,
have
yeah.
an end date.
It's just not a permanent standing committee. But if it's an ad hoc committee, the way it's done is we appoint up to 6 people who are board members, and no one else may vote at your committee meetings. If we reactivate the public safety committee, we have no quorum issues, and anyone can not just participate, but they may also vote. So there's a difference in the structures, but the standing committees have to meet at least quarterly, otherwise they lose their standing status.
I think what we're talking about is just taking the next step. And I like the idea of a limited term ad hoc committee that addresses just earthquake preparedness, not public safety that crosses over into Taylor's ground, I think.
No, Taylor's doing transportation.
I saw a lot of safety.
Yeah, no. Public safety, the way it's defined on our website, our public safety committee has much more to do with law enforcement.
Oh,
Not,
okay.
not CERT, not resilience, not Ryland, not any of these. But okay, Chris has her hand up, and then we need to make a decision or make a decision to not make a decision tonight.
Okay, well, I'll respond to Chris.
Well,
Chris?
I like the idea that we activate our public safety committee with a focus on community resiliency in the face of emergency. And I don't think a year is enough of a window to move the needle in any realistic way. I think it may get us our overlay framework, but I think it's going to be one of these things that to really get something in place, it's going to take, continuous incremental progress, particularly because of that apathy aspect. We've got to outreach, we've got to have a plan, and then we have to keep building that plan to get better and better. So I think the latter rather than the ad hoc would probably give us the largest participation. Anyway,
guys, let me make
a motion. I make a motion to activate the public safety committee with the focus on earthquake preparedness.
Okay.
Who's second?
Krista, is that
okay? Thank you.
Okay. Well, all I was going to say is Madam President could take advantage of the fact that we now have Tuesday, December 21st vacant because executive has moved off that date. And I could just convene a special meeting of public safety. I don't think we don't have a chair. We don't have a mission statement. I could just call it. I don't know that we have to vote. It's up to you guys if you want to vote, but I can convene it. And from there, they can come, whoever goes can come with a recommendation to reactivate it with a particular, with a focus. If that's okay with you. Dennis, are you available December 21?
Yes, I am.
Well, let's do
Yes.
that. Let me just be a martyr and have another meeting on Zoom that I'll convene.
That item is tabled. Can we get to the next item?
Yes, please. And this is basically an announcement. And I'm sorry on the agenda I said 2022 twice, but the annual homeless count in Los Angeles County is scheduled from Tuesday, January 25 to Thursday, January 27. And it's a big deal counting of our homeless neighbors. And I'm sharing the screen just because if it comes up, I hope it does. I'm trying to share the screen. Where we usually convene for the Greater Los Angeles homeless count is at Holman Church on Adams and 4th Avenue. There's a little difference in how the homeless count is being done this year, and that is that people are being requested to create their own teams of 3 and sign up together. And I'm looking at my screen. It says I'm screen sharing, but I'm seeing nothing. So you guys are probably seeing nothing either. So I'm gonna stop that share. And what I can do, I will try one more time. What I can do is send this out to you. Yeah, it's not giving us this is not what I'm meaning to do. So I'm going to stop the share again and forget that. So anyway, but it is on Thursday, January 27. I will email out the material. The main thing to know is it's being done very differently. You're not getting out of your cars. You're not physically going up and down the street and counting people. And it's going to be an app on a phone, and you will sign up as teams. And there we are. Chris, you have your hand up.
I'm
Chris?
trying to lower it. It's an old
Oh,
hand. Sorry.
okay, fine. Okay, so let's moving on. And I'm not going to try and share the screen a third time. So I'll send you guys that information. Are there any other committee updates at 10:24? Okay, moving on. Executive Committee. A will table standing rules. Nancy is not here. So B, Dolores, administrative funding request, printing business cards. And Raheem has, I think, something to show us. If Raheem's still here.
Yes, we talked about the business cards once before. Not everybody was interested in the business cards, but I am, and there was a couple of other people. So I wanted to order business cards for those board members that wanted them. And I think the motion was to spend up to $500 towards the business cards for those that wanted them. And then Gregory would check on vendors to purchase them from.
Okay, and Raheem is not here. He had emailed me saying that they've been working on some new designs, but I think we can vote the money non-contingent on which of the two designs, current or future. But I would say this is time sensitive, and I think it doesn't matter which of the two designs, which of the logos we use, but we don't need to vote on that because we've already voted to approve the communications team moving forward, but we did not give them any deadlines. So the deadline on this is if we approve the funding, we're just going to move forward. Is that okay with everyone? Raheem's not here at the moment.
That sounds great.
I think that's fine. I'd like to I don't know if Dolores made that motion of the funding motion. If not, then I'll make the motion that we proceed with not to exceed $500 and we determine the design in the future.
And I'll second. This is Paula.
Okay, thank you, Paula.
As far as the design is concerned, I think we can use the current one. And then when the communications group gets done with all of their whatever they're going to do, if there are new cards that are going to be used, we can still use the ones that have the old ones. We can continue to use those, and then when they run out, we can get the new ones.
Yeah, because I personally would prefer a package that we've approved of all the new designs and not piecemeal anyway, but we want to get the cards now. Right. Okay, bunch of hands are up. Greg, Dennis, Lizzie. But remember, we're really focused on the money, not the design. Greg?
Yeah, and the money's on the budget, so that is part of our budget. So it's not a new funding line.
Right.
And the only other thing is this is related to when we place the order. I just need to know if we're going to put a standing Zoom meeting location by the physical location that we had on the back of the card in the past.
Greg, I had written you, my strong suggestion is we just write, we are currently, UNNC is currently meeting via Zoom. Check our website, unnc.org/events or whatever it is to get to that calendar to see our agendas.
That will work for me. Thank you.
Dennis, then Lizzie.
I just want to emphasize that we really ought to find out the delivery time for the new design that could be used in the cards before we go ahead and print any cards.
Dennis, I'm just going to jump in. The committee hasn't met in 2 months. The committee, I'm talking about communications committee, they need to create a package of material in a transparent public manner and bring it to this board. But we want to get the business cards done as soon as possible. I don't think the committee has the ability to accomplish what I just said in a timely manner because the holidays is going to interrupt their ability to do so. Lizzie.
Is it too late to be added to the list?
No,
No.
Okay,
everyone has the link, right?
yes,
I can resend it just in case.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
No, I have it,
resend
I have it. Thank you,
please.
thank you, Greg.
Okay.
Greg, is your hand still up or up again?
No, I raised it again to respond to the question.
Is this something we're voting on?
Yeah, well, the only thing we're voting on is $500, up to $500 for business cards.
Okay, John, are we ready? Everybody, please unmute. John,
Yes.
Lizzie,
Yes.
Greg,
Yes.
Chris, Teresa is yes. Dennis,
Yes.
Lolita,
Yes.
Grace. You
Speak
need
it,
to unmute,
Grace.
Grace. Can you unmute,
You're
please?
muted.
I can't vote.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, it's funding. I'm sorry. Thank you. See, it's so late. Paula,
Yes.
Laura,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Charlie,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Raheem, who's not here, Dolores,
Yes.
and Jasmine.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Okay.
Kareen, sorry, Sarah is ineligible and Kareen is ineligible.
Okay. And last but not least, a very
Okay.
quick president's report.
I do have one other thing on that, Madam President.
Okay, yes,
I'm
Greg.
not sure I don't think I have everyone's address, the new member's address. So if I could get that, so I could send them the link.
I will send you you mean the emails, right?
Yes, yes,
Yes,
Not
I
the
will send
physical
that to you
address.
once this meeting is over, because I've learned that it's really hard to run the Zoom meeting and send emails at the same time.
Okey doke. Okey doke.
Okay. President's report, just going to tell you that we UNNC remain intact. And after all of that, the current redistricting boundaries, which are not going to change, keep us at the city level intact. And as I saw on the assembly level online, it looks like we're intact as well, which is weird because we never have been. The reason, we were told earlier tonight that they have to wait a week and then do a vote. It's because Council Member Cedillo, who had originally was going to try and put Harvard Heights into CD1, has just given up a little more of the territory from 11th to Olympic and from, I think, Vermont to Normandy back to, into CD10 to make that little pocket whole as well in CD10. So that's that. And I have 0 to report on 19B. And I have no update on the suspension of the council member. So unless somebody else has an update, my report is complete. I'm sorry, I've been a little unavailable for a couple of weeks because I had a very bad reaction to the COVID booster.
Can
but
we
I'm
adjourn?
feeling better now.
Can we adjourn
We can.
at 10:32?
Mm-hmm.
Glad you're feeling better, Laura.
I'm feeling better. I'm feeling better. But it was there were some icky moments there.
Oh, gosh. Well, we're glad you're still here.
Yes.
Glad you're better. Okay, bye, everyone.
All right,
See you later.
Bye.
Shalom.
Wow, only 20 minutes late. Yes.
Jackson out.
Take care. See you Sunday.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye, you guys.
Thank you.
All right, well, I'm